Welcome to the Nick and Matt Show, bringing the player interviews you want to hear and the hot topics you want to discuss. Recording live in studio, here's Nick and Matt.
That's so good.
What's going on, everybody? Episode 152, and instead of Ben and Evan, it's going to be Nick and Evan co-hosting the show tonight. This episode is presented by Cosmic DG. Go shop all your Cosmic needs over at CosmicDG.com. One of the biggest things we talk about every single week, if you are a tournament director and you want to do the end of the year stuff and get paid for it, check out CosmicDG.com. This will also be absolutely huge if the D tiers and stuff like that happen for next year with the flex starts and everything. So go over to CosmicDG.com, shoot them an email, and get set up in that. Evan, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Nick. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Just enjoying a nice week. Just got back from the beach, went out to the Outer Banks for the first time, played some golf, sat on the beach all day, and enjoyed a nice little vacation.
Yeah, I didn't get to have that much fun. It was a good weekend, but not going to the beach and hanging out and all that good stuff.
No, it was great. This show is going to act a little bit differently tonight. We don't have Matt with us, and so the talking, we're going to have to do our part to up the talking on our end. We're also going to have to interrupt each other and, join in on the interviews. I'm just kidding. We love busting Matt's chops. He's actually out glamping this week, I think out in New York with his family. So he's enjoying that. But tonight we actually do have on Valerie Mandujano. She will actually be joining us very shortly, and we'll be talking about her awesome win over at Idlewild. And then Jeremy Koling and Parker Welk are still up in the air right now. We are hoping to solidify them mid-show, but we should have Jeremy Koling on after a fantastic finish for him. And then Parker Welk will also be talking to us a little bit about how we can help support his hometown out in Maui. As I'm sure everyone has seen, Hawaii has been devastated right now with the wildfires. So we are going to talk to Parker a little bit just to talk about his season, his ankle, and then also talk about best ways that we can help support Hawaii. But Ben is also interning and producing tonight. So if anything goes wrong, we can all blame Ben. But Ben, do we have Valerie in the green room?
Yes, we do already.
All right. We might as well bring her right on in then.
Cool. Sounds good.
Welcoming Valerie Mandujano, your 2023 LWS Idlewild Open winner. And here she is. Valerie, can you hear us?
I can.
Awesome. And we just first off want to say congratulations on such an awesome weekend. Seeing you kind of come off of an injury and then be able to win, and I would say a very dominant fashion, especially going into that last round, just playing very smooth and consistent. Talk to us a little bit about the weekend in general.
Honestly, it was a long week. I mean, finishing off Ledgestone, I think my body was just so drained and tired. I haven't played a 4-round tournament in a while. So going into Idlewild, I tried my best to just watch what I do, not walking unnecessary things, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was just so tired going into it to where I felt like I was just playing terrible practice rounds. And I think I was just getting mentally drained just from the practice rounds being so terrible to me walking off halfway off one of our practice rounds. I think I was on hole 12 or something, and I told Mason and Alexis, I'm gonna go do field work. I can't take this anymore. I can't get my throw down. My putt doesn't feel good, so I'm gonna go sit in the field and figure this out. If you guys want to join, you guys can join, or just stay continuing the practice round. They stood to continue the practice round. I went to the field and I threw as many shots as possible. I worked on every part of my game in that field, and I felt like that's what I really needed for my game to click.
Mm-hmm.
I still didn't feel like it was the greatest thing, because obviously disc golf is one day it'll be on perfect, your game, and the next it'll be you'll feel like the worst player ever. That's just the way disc golf goes. I remember calling my mom that night and telling her how I felt, and I was just like, I don't want to play this event. My game just already feels off. I just really had this terrible mindset going into it. And she reminded me of Portland last year, where she's like, you felt the same way. You weren't practicing the best. You didn't have the best practice rounds. You didn't really want to play the tournament. You wanted to go home, but you end up winning. What if this is the same case? And so I said, okay, I'll stick it out and see what happens. So I think having that mindset of I could win, but I also could play the worst golf of my life. I said, don't have any expectations going into this round. And I just felt like, the week was a long, draining week.
When you go out into the field and you're talking about before the tournament starts, what are you focusing, or what do you feel like, you improved on in the field?
I think for me, the whole time I was playing Ledgestone, I felt like I didn't get enough reps into my throw or into my game. Like I knew how it should feel, but I didn't get the feeling of the shot. And it was my putting, my upshots, my forehand, and my driving. Everything just felt like I know what I was supposed to be doing, but I didn't feel like I was doing any of it. And I feel like when I went into the field, I wanted to feel my throw. I wanted to feel my putt. I wanted to at least know what it felt like to throw a good shot.
Okay. Now, this is actually the first time that we've had you on in 2023, I think, and this was a big move from your previous sponsor, which was Dynamic Discs, into Discraft this year. Made it up already onto the elite team. Talk to us a little bit about how it's been switching manufacturers in the offseason and coming into the 2023 season. I know we have the ankle injury, so that kind of derailed a little bit, but since you've been able to start playing again, how has it been?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like my relationship with Discraft is amazing right now, especially considering the ankle injury. They handled it pretty well. I feel like they handled it the best that anybody could have, to be honest. So it took a lot of stress off my back. I feel like the switch of the plastic was a little harder for me than what I thought it was going to be, just because I couldn't break anything in the off season.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I didn't play for 5 months, so it was like, oh well, I have all these discs that I know or what I think they should be doing, they're not doing just because I haven't broke anything in. What actually did help me was Kodo, a tournament in Austin Mason played.
Mm-hmm.
I went home a day early and he stood out there and somebody was vending and had a bunch of Discraft stuff. So I remember him calling me saying like, hey, this guy has a bunch of used stuff. I'm going to pick up some stuff for you and we'll see if it flies good. And he brought home probably like 40 discs. And it was a bunch of beaten mantises, you name it, undertakers, Zeus's, and he was just like, let's go to the field and let's do field work and let's see how they fly for you. And honestly, it was a lot of stuff that I was missing from my bag. It's a
Nice.
lot of the discs that I still carry to this day, and I feel like that's what really gave me the confidence boost that I needed to go on tour.
Very cool. Evan, do you have any cool stats coming off of the weekend?
Well, I have some cool stats, but first, not quite as much of a stat as more of a thought is, if I look at all of your wins, they all have been kind of won in dominant fashions. Maybe not like the whole final round, but kind of by the time you tap in that final putt in hole 18, it's a pretty dominant win. Some come on hole 17, like at Waco. This one was kind of the middle of the back nine. Do you feel like that's a coincidence that you have a lot of dominant wins, or do you think it just it kind of plays to your game well in that sense?
I think it kind of plays to my game. I've said this ever since I was in amateurs. When I win, I don't want to just win by a stroke. I want to win by a good amount. And I'm not saying that's my intention every week, but I think it's just something that I play in the back of my mind. I told myself going into the second round, like, okay, you have to shoot a decent round to get some pace going. I didn't know what the pace was. Like, I didn't know I was leading by 4 going into the third round. And I didn't know I had I think 8-stroke lead up until 16. So it's like, I think it's just more subconscious than anything.
Yeah, and then I also want to touch on you playing on the lead card with your sister Alexis. Now, are you the older sister? Are you the
Yes.
You've played on the lead card with her. This is the second time you guys have played on a lead card together at a Disc Golf Pro Tour event. You now have 4 wins on tour. She's still searching for her first. Do you feel like that you're getting these wins and really good finishes and she's close? Does it feel like a big sister type of thing, or how does that feel, like wanting the best out of your sister but also wanting a win for yourself as well?
Yeah. Gosh, I feel like we've had the same journey since amateurs because we've been competing so long with each other. Of course I want to win, and I feel like I established this at amateurs. At one point I felt bad whenever she didn't win and I did, but I noticed that that was affecting my game, and then that wouldn't be the best for both of us. I wouldn't be able to push her, but I also wouldn't be able to be the best of myself. And so, I vowed that I'm never gonna let her win. By my end, I always want to play the best and I want to be the best. And I feel like in the end, it will make her become the best version of herself. Um, it's hard for me, obviously, seeing her struggle and seeing her so close to a win, just because it's that older sister, I think, in me that comes out, and I'm like, I want her to play well. I hate seeing her not play well because I want to help her as an older sister, but there's nothing I can do. Um, and there's even like times in the round when she's having a rough hole. So like hole 16, I think, round two, she went OB, I think, twice, and I just wanted to run up to her and hug her and tell her, everything's going to be okay. But I knew deep down inside that that would probably make her cry, and I'd probably cry, and that's not the best thing for us. But it's just that big sister in me where I hate to see her struggle at the same time.
So
And go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
No,
I'll
no,
let you,
you're
Nick.
good.
I'll let you. Okay, fine. It's me. All right.
I choose.
We're getting. Thanks, Ben. We're quickly getting to the end of the season. We're hitting our first playoff event. We have Worlds coming up soon, but I want to jump a little bit further to Tour Championship. With the win here, you get your spot clinched. But because of your injury and missing so much time, it was a little bit in doubt if you would have made the Tour Championship. Was that coming into your mind to try to get a win or like really push to get into the Tour Championship, or were you just kind of considering it a wash with missing so much time?
I think going into my season, which is, I don't know, a month and a half ago now, I set a goal and I was like, okay, that's my goal, is I want to get into Tour Championships. Once I was playing the way I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to get in anytime soon. And to be honest, winning this, I was completely oblivious to the situation that I was able to get in by a win until Mason told me yesterday night. He's like, this means that you're playing Tour Championships, right? I was so oblivious to, me and Lucky were talking about her going back home, and she was saying after Tour Championships, she'll be there for the tournament, but she won't be playing. And I told her, yeah, I'll be there, but I won't be playing as well. And then I walked off to go throw a shot. That's me not even realizing if I won the tournament, I wouldn't be able to play. So, yeah, it was a good surprise, I'd say.
No, I definitely agree. I think a lot of people are still oblivious of that. I remember we were talking about it a few weeks ago. I think actually when Parker had won DDO, and I was like, oh, I didn't even realize that was something where if you win, you get into the Tour Championship. So definitely cool that they're doing that this year. Last year, you were, I think, RVing around the country. Is that still the means of travel this year? And if so, how has that been?
Yeah, for sure. I'm in the RV right now. We're still RVing it. I feel like for me, it's the best case just because I'm a homebody, and if I'm able to get an RV and make it my home for a short amount of time, I think I'm going to play better and I'm going to relax better. We tried Airbnb-ing it. We'll still do it occasionally when some of our friends get into town. We'll Airbnb it, but for the most time, when it's just us three, we're RVing it, and I love it. I love the RV life, honestly. I feel like I keep telling everybody that, like, oh yeah, you should get an RV and it's the best way to travel. But I'm completely biased about it just because I own an RV.
There you go. Little bit of kind of goals for the 2023 season before the big win. What were your goals coming into the season after the injury? And then is the injury still kind of lingering right now? Do you feel like it's, 90% healed? How do you really feel from it?
Goals. I try to not give myself goals, but I am me. So I had like top 5 finishes. I at least wanted to win 2 before the end of the season, which I made these goals before playing on the Pro Tour this year. So I feel like I have to rearrange my goals now, winning and seeing that I'm capable of them. For the ankle, I know last when I saw my physical therapist, he said I was about 85% healed, and that was right before I played DDO. He just said that my ankle is very loose compared to my right one right now. And I'm just super careful with it, honestly. It feels good. It feels better than it's felt in a while. I get pain once in a while, but that's when like the cold starts coming. Let me think. But yeah, I mean, it feels amazing right now. If I had to say that I felt healed, I'd say I felt healed, but I'm not a doctor.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. Talk to us a little bit. We got the playoffs coming up. We've been in a really, I would say, grueling stretch of disc golf tournaments. It just seems like they're back to back to back right now. We got playoffs coming up and then the World Championships, the end of the year, the Pro Tour finale. Just talk to us what it's like mentally, knowing that you still have another month and a half to 2 months of really grinding it out on the tour right now.
Honestly, I feel like it's a bittersweet thing for me because part of me is like, wow, I just started. and I can't wait to, attack the season. But the other part of me is like, wow, we have tournaments back to back. Like you said, me coming off Ledgestone, I got a little bit of a taste of that where it was like, well, I don't get a break. And it was a 4-day event. Now we're going to a 3-day event. And now we're coming back to a 4-day event. But at the same time, I'm trying to look at it as an advantage I have. Like, okay, I didn't really have to push myself at the beginning of the year. Now I have to make that big push. And I have to not only get points for obviously my tour card next year, but also my elite spot on the Discraft team. So in a way, I'm looking forward to it. I'm also wanting to see how much, I guess, myself is capable of performing.
Evan, you got anything?
I mean, when people try to analyze your game, I think very well-rounded, composed, just like kind of clinical. When you look at your game, what would you consider your like best skills that if you just had to describe to anyone, hey, this is what I'm best at in the sport of disc golf?
Honestly, I don't know. I feel like I've tried to think about this before, but I'm the worst to pinpoint my game. I think I'd have to ask Alexis. She could probably answer that question better than I can. All I do know is I want to get more consistent. I feel like I'm not consistent enough, if I'm being honest. And I feel like Kristen showed us that being consistent is not impossible.
Well, here we go to the next one. You've beaten Kristen outright before, so it's not that you can't do that or haven't done that, but she's obviously notably not in the field the last few events until Worlds. Does the win feel different at all? Does it feel just as good as ever? Are you hungry to then show people that you can beat her in this terrific season she's having?
I don't think it feels different because she's not here. Because I feel like with her not being at Ledgestone, a loss still felt like a loss to me. I feel like I'm capable of beating her as long as I'm on my game. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to Worlds. I feel like we all have a chance. I feel like it's not written in history yet. So
there we go.
Can you talk to us a little bit just about I would say FPO season in general right now? We've seen so many unique winners throughout the last couple of years, especially, and we've seen a lot of FPO players take such great strides in their game. Can you talk to us just about what the competition's been like nowadays versus when you first kind of came into the scene?
yeah, I mean, I felt like when I first walked into playing Pro Tour events, it was Katrina and Paige Pierce-Shrill. Like, you knew that it was one or the other that were winning. Now I feel like it's anybody's week. Like, anybody can win. I feel like the competition has definitely picked up, and if you don't watch it, you can end up finishing in top 20 very easily. I feel like when I played last year, I was like, okay, top 5, top 10, and that's it. That's the worst I can do. Now it's like I'm missing the cut because I'm not on my A game, and I feel like because of the field that we're in now and how much women's disc golf is developing and growing, I feel like everybody's just getting better. Honestly, it's just becoming almost, I feel like, as competitive as the men's field now. Before you would just see a 2-man race, and now it's anybody any week.
No, definitely. And then I would say kind of when you were, let's say, an amateur looking on the outside into the Pro Tour scene, and then also first getting onto the Pro Tour scene, how has it been? Has it been just the most immaculate experience in the world now that you're a multiple-time winner on the Disc Golf Pro Tour? Or are there still things that you're looking to kind of see flourish with the Pro Tour?
I feel like it has gotten better in the last few years. I definitely feel like we're getting that professional title in a way. Because I feel like before, when I was an amateur, I would tell people like, oh yeah, I disc golf, or I want to become a professional disc golfer. And they would kind of like, okay, well, what is that? And then I'd get a lot of well, maybe you should go to college first and think about what you want to do. And now when I tell people what I do for a living, they have a lot of respect towards it. And they're like, wow, that seems like that's a lot, and it's in a professional sport. And I'm very proud to say that I am, a professional athlete, because I feel like disc golf has become a professional athlete's mindset. If you want to be winning or top 10 every week, you have to be in your best version of yourself that week. I also feel like there is some good and bad about being on the tour, and I feel like that's normal with anything. Nobody ever goes to work and saying, oh, I have the best job ever. It's perfect all the time. I feel like there's always going to be good and bad no matter what you do in life.
I think it's always nice when you can tell people, yeah, I just made $7,000 playing disc golf for, a week. I think that's a pretty awesome thing. I was just looking at one of the things that we're going to talk about later in the podcast is just the amount of money that players are winning. So,
Uh-oh. Did we lose Nick?
Yeah, it
I think
happens.
so.
It happens.
Oh.
Finish his thought.
Yep.
No,
Yep.
no, he's
No,
back.
am
he's
I back?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
keep
sorry
on
about
going,
that. I was
Nick.
going to say it earlier. I might cut out a little bit. My internet out in Virginia is a little wonky, but yeah. Anyways, I was just saying it's pretty nice when you tell someone you made $7,000. You got married recently within the last year to Mason Ford, also who switched companies, went to Mint Discs this year. How has it been just being able to travel with your partner? And obviously your sister is tagging along as well. Just how has it been being able to kind of travel as a family together?
Honestly, I tell people this all the time. It feels like we were already married. It honestly does. If anything, we kind of just sealed it more than anything. We're just like, yeah, we're stuck with each other for life, and now you really have to deal with me. With Alexis, just whenever she's gone, it just feels like a missing piece. We're just like a little family. We always make a joke where we're like, you're like our daughter, or you're like our kid, and that's what she says. She's like, I feel like you guys are my parents half the time. So I think without one or the other, it would just feel so weird.
Definitely. And I guess kind of my last question before we let you go, Evan, if you have anything more as well. Vermont World Championships. What are the goals? What's the game plan going into it?
Obviously, I'd love to win. But if not, I want to at least be in the top 5 finish. I know last year I was in the running for top 5 and I messed it up on hole, I think 17. Oh, I'm so mad about it. And ended up finishing at top 10. But that's my goal. That and at least to like make all my putts in circle 1. I feel like that was one of my good goals of last year, and I succeeded. I would think I finished like top 2 in like the finishing of putting points. So
there you go. Awesome.
Well,
Evan, you have anything else?
I just wanted to say you did get that top 5 up at the Green Mountain Championship. So where Worlds will be, although maybe not at Worlds last year, at the Worlds location for this year, last year, got a nice top 5 finish. I'm going to do what Nick always does to all the people we bring on. How can the people support you?
you can follow me on Instagram by my Tour Series disc. I have a couple molds on my website. Maybe picking up one of those, or even my dry fit shirts or hats that I have that would support me.
Awesome. And for the Tour Series disc, they can jump onto teamdiscraft.com and you can actually find Valerie's picture right there. I was just on their website earlier today. It's awesome. And go pick up some of her merch. Anyways, Valerie, thank you so much for joining in tonight. We very much appreciate it. Once again, congratulations on your awesome win at the LWS Open at Idlewild, and good luck up at D-Glow, first playoff event of the year.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Have a good one.
Oh,
I was going to say, usually there's music when we dump them
I
off
played the
like
wrong
that, Ben.
one.
You're a little late on
but
it.
it's
all right.
delayed.
It's an intern episode for sure, but we appreciate all the hard
What
work.
do you mean,
Sam's
bro?
doing.
I've been perfect so far. That was my first blunt. No, I'm just kidding. It's so
Yeah, I was
hard.
going to say, you jumped on with me and you right at the
Yeah.
beginning. It's all good.
Matt, scenes are everywhere naturally, so it's just easy to forget that I am in Matt's seat. So when you saw me vibing to the music, that's really what I am doing behind the scenes. Until I was like, and noticed and clicked away. But I'm glad I wasn't doing anything.
Yeah,
crazy.
Matt's actually in the chat right now. So if
Yes.
everyone wants to give him a hard time for going camping with his family and, doing the dad stuff, give him a hard time. He does have a hammer, though, so he can ban you just in
And-
case.
Yeah, I just
And
gave
he
him
has
his-
internet, so is he really camping?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah, exactly.
the
He told us he
phone
didn't have
down,
service, and then all of a sudden he
Make
jumped
some
into the show.
s'mores,
Chat.
sit around by the fire.
Since I'm in Matt's house alone, what should I take from his personal collection that I won't tell him about? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways.
There you go.
Let's go.
Before we bring on Jerm, I know, Ben, you had said Jerm for 7:30.
7:30, Jerm will be on. So get ready for that, chat.
Okay. Well, let's before we get into all of the MPO stuff, and we'll talk about that after Jerm, so we don't feel like we're rushing it, but just about the course in general. This is, I would say, one of the most unique courses that we have on tour. It's got an awesome mix of open holes, wooded holes. I think they're very fair with the OB. The one change that I didn't love, but I get why they did it, is hole 12. It's the forehand with the Mando, and it was a new basket placement this year. Tucked a little bit more left into the woods. You could tell it was freshly cleared out. It was definitely cleared out very well. But I think the old basket was a little bit close to 13's T-Pat, so I understand why they did it. But just in general, Evan, Ben, thoughts on the course?
I was score watching for most of the weekend. I watched day 1, and I actually can't remember what 12 is. I think that's one knock on Idlewild is the middle of the course. It's hard to remember what holes are, but I can remember the finishing holes. I have two things I want to say. One, hole 17. A lot of people don't like it. Some people really love it. I want to put it on the record. I want that hole to use the bunker rule, just like we see at hole 16 at the European Open at the Beast. I want OB to be, you get the distance, you have to rethrow on the drive at least, but not with the stroke penalty. So if you miss, you try to ace run and you go a little too high in your OB, you got to rethrow. There are ways to lay up. I think it could push a layup play a little bit more. We did see some players in contention still do that. So I think it does get a little bit, but it does seem a little fluky to people. So I think that'd be one way to make it a little bit more fun and less like severely punishing and kind of push some thought through it. The second one I want to say is the clearing. I'm going to talk about hole 18 specifically, but I know it happened on a few other holes. I think you said hole 12 was one of them. There's been mixed reviews on those. I got to say, that's something I do want to see more from woods courses. It isn't as true woods golf as it is where like the rough is really rough and it's so hard to scramble, but you saw players get up there and it was pretty tough to get out. They certainly could have some miracle shot that got really far up, but I remember I specifically saw Isaac Robinson like want to go through it very far, but ended up just laying up to the back to the fairway. So I think it still had a little bit of that in it, but it makes it so much easier for the spectators, one, just to walk around, but two, to be able to see through it. So they don't have to be on the fairway to see the action. They can be a little bit further back and still see the action. So I think that was a good change. I do like that.
Yeah, I think the course of just in general plays really fun. I don't love hole 11. I think it's kind of a dinker hole, but they elevate it, so it does add a little bit into it. But I think, you know, when I was watching Gannon Burr play yesterday and just absolutely shredding the first 5, 6, 7 holes, I mean, he was just putting from 25 to 45 feet and it just seemed like it was dead center every time. But I really do love that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hole stretch. I think it's a really great starting 5 on a course. And then I do like the ending. 17, don't necessarily love. Evan, you and I were kind of briefly talking about it in our group chat.
Bunker
don't
rule.
Don't love 17. I don't know if I love the bunker rule idea on that one either. You'd have to convince me on it. But I think 18 is a really cool ending hole. Watching round 2's coverage, watching them finish 18, what I thought when I tuned in was I thought it was still pretty light out to where I was like, oh yeah, once they get out to the fairway, they can see everything. And then when you actually see coverage of what it really looked like, it definitely looked like it was pitch black.
Oh,
so definitely kind of wild.
I want to give time for Ben, but I do want to comment on that real quick. Yeah. Mixed thoughts on that, but I loved it. I love that Gavin Babcock was lighting up a glow disc. Like that's something where you don't want to have happen often. Obviously, there's a lightning delay, pushed tee times back. The horn apparently was actually called. The players were supposed to finish after hole 16, get back in the morning, but they opted and kind of pushed the tournament directors to let them play still. I thought that was cool. Glad it happened. Don't want to see it happen often, but that it did. It was so cool, so fun. Obviously, it was hard to see on camera, but it felt like disc golf, you know, like pushing the last couple holes when it's too dark. I liked it. But Ben,
and everyone seemed in good spirits with it.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't really have anything about the course, but here's my take, not my take, but I'm kind of asking you guys, do you think Idlewild's here to stay, or do you think it's getting too easy for the Pro Tour, and do you think they're going to move elsewhere in the future? It doesn't have to be like now, but like maybe 5-10 years.
I think Idlewild's here to stay. I think it's a great tournament for 3 rounds on the same course. I'm someone where, 4-round tournaments, I like seeing 2 different courses. 3-round tournaments, 1 course is great. I think it's a really, really fun course to watch. It's actually filmed very well, and I think the DGPT has gotten better with that every single year. It's tough to film a lot of the wooded courses, but I actually do very much enjoy watching the coverage of Idlewild. And then also, that property out there that they have is massive, and I'm sure every single year they could probably either expand it or change things up a little bit every single year, so we're not consistently watching the same course over and over and over. But I know one of the big things this year, and the chat's kind of going off about it right now, is the baskets.
Please, I don't want to hear it.
We'll get into it a little bit later, Evan. Just to rile you up, we did see a pretty good number of spit outs, but I do hear
sick of it. Yeah, putt softer, my guys. And
oh
gals.
my gosh,
no,
that's not every single.
Okay,
we'll ask Jerm when he comes in.
This is a different topic. We're bringing Jerm in to round that out. I do think Idlewild's here to stay. I think it has the key things you want. which is it's nearby an airport at Simon. There you go. Simon actually did fairly well here. But it's right by, which comes with an airport. It's right by a large mid-sized city is what I'll call Cincinnati. It's just across the border in Kentucky. But it's right near Cincinnati. The Pro Tour, it has been doing it, but it needs to continue to like go as hard as it can on these large mid-sized cities. It's not going to get inside New York or Chicago or LA. Those aren't going to happen, not even Boston. But you can have it in different areas, like going after Portland, going after Cincinnati, going after Austin. It's doing all these, and it's very close to the city center, which all have great disc golf communities and fans, and it's easy to get to. The location is perfect. I could see it being split a 2-2 if it's a 2-course 4-day event. I could also see it dropping to maybe a silver event, depending on how those shake down. I don't think it's quite going to be the playoff level. We saw D-Glow elevated. We see MVP elevated for 2 years now. I don't think it'll be an Elite Plus, but I do think it's a really good Elite event and should stay on tour.
Agreed. And it doesn't feel as much of a public park as what you would expect. It definitely, we're not throwing over baseball fields. We're not throwing. It doesn't seem like where there's a ton of crowds of other people there, like we see potentially at the European Open or even at Eureka Temp. But, excuse me, more stuff that we can talk about just after we bring in Jeremy Koling. He is in our virtual green room. Ben,
Yes.
why don't you bring him on in? Jeremy Koling of the Big Julie commentary on Jomez. Awesome player. Has one of the coolest Tour Series discs out there. Jeremy Koling.
Woo.
Jeremy, can you hear us?
Oh, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh,
We can hear you, but you're a little staticky right now. So, Ben,
Yeah.
what can we do to solve this?
Ben here. I'm gonna say maybe disconnect your headphones and maybe try and join, talk through the computer. Yeah, it's the odd. Do you have good Wi-Fi or? Yeah, we can't hear you. Could you just exit out and join back in?
Yeah. If anything, Ben, send him a
This always
text.
happens. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all good.
Or Ben, do you have his phone number?
Yeah, I do. I'll text.
Mute yourself and give him a call.
Okay. Okay.
And
Guys, start.
the beauty of live show, folks, and traveling disc golfers, we're going to figure out how to get you the best sound. And pretty much what we're going to tell them to do is close it out and to have them come back in. And then from there, hopefully it'll settle up better. I forgot to mention this to Valerie. She had one of the most crisp sounding like internet connections that we've heard from a touring pro in a while, I feel like. So shout out to her on that one.
Wasn't even headphones, right? It was just computer or phone audio.
I think it was one I think she had one headphone in.
Okay. I didn't
if
see
I
it.
remember correctly.
Yeah. But hey, while we have this downtime, while we're waiting for Ben to work with Jerm and hopefully get some crisp audio back, just do a quick run through of the event. I mean, we obviously know Valerie Mandujano wins an FPO. Gannon Burr wins an MPO. I don't know if we even officially said that. That interesting thing there, they're both the most improved players last year for the Disc Golf Pro Tour in 2022. They both win the same event here. That's got to be the first time that's happened, but I know I'm one of the people from Statmando, but I don't have that info right in front of me. But Gannon, it's his third elite win of the season. That's the most in MPO. He was tied with Calvin Heimberg. He now has the solo lead. Calvin Heimberg has 2. And Ben's working with Jerm right now, and I will say Jerm sounds fantastic.
A hell of a lot
sounds
better.
great.
I'm excited.
Jerm sounds
to
great.
bring it.
So
am I
I was going to say, let's cut
an
off.
IT guy now? Oh my
There you
goodness.
go.
Let's go,
We can
Ben.
start paying. You can
Let's
get the
go.
$5 super chat that came in from my buddy Cody.
Let's go.
All right, let's bring in Jeremy Koling once again. We got the music for you, Jeremy. You are here. You don't have any visuals now?
Can you see us now?
Can you at least hear us? Okay, yeah, as long as you can hear us. I mean, we're just going to be talking back and forth with you. We can see you, you can see us. We might flip the screens a little bit, so maybe something will change there. But Jeremy Koling, you're coming off your best finish of the year at the Elite Series events. How does this feel?
First top 10 finish of the year. It's incredible how insanely talented the field is, because last year, even though we had slick tee pads, 21 under got 4th place. And so in my mind, I was kind of shooting after that number, trying to come out with a 7 under average to just guarantee a top 5 finish, which would be an incredible accomplishment at this point in my career. But I shot 23 under and I got 10th place. So there you go. That's the field just being the field nowadays. But I missed a putt from about 27 feet on the last hole, and I'd be lying if I said that it didn't hurt, because it went from a 3-way tie for 7th to a 4-way tie for 10th. And I feel like my play I was so locked in for most of the tournament that, you don't really look back and think about the tiny mistakes you make when you finish near the cut line, or maybe you do if you miss the cut by a stroke, or the cash line by a stroke. But like, I think the time that I reflect the most on my tiny errors that cost me 1 or 2 strokes is right when you're actually in the mix, like I was this week. And I can think back to several strokes. I can easily recount 9 strokes that was the eventual separation between me and Gannon. And it helps me believe that I can do it. I think that it has to be on a specific type of course. Idlewild suits my game really well. I've done well there in the past. But I know that I've got it in me to be in contention, even if my statistics show that I'm routinely not. And that's enough. That's enough for me. I feel like having that confidence is what keeps me still motivated to continue to do this.
Definitely. Evan?
Yeah. So, Jerm, you knew this was your first top 10 finish of the year on tour. Do you know what your
pretty easy.
Yeah. Do you know what your last top 10 finish was?
This event last year.
There we go. I wanted to mention that. So we were just talking about, like, should Idlewild stay on tour? We were all in agreement that we love it. We think everything's great about it. What are your thoughts on it? Does it feel like it suits better to your game or a certain style? Is it forehand? Is it a different type of game that it really suits to? Like, how much do you like it, and do you want this event to be on tour 5 times every year?
Yeah, actually, it's funny that you guys were talking about that, because that was a conversation that I was actually having with players on the course. Players like Tristan Tanner, a guy that does really well on the golf style course. He was in agreement with me that, like, this type of course is vital to showing what disc golf has to offer. The Maple Hills of the world, the front 9, Waco, that kind of stuff. If you don't have that style, then we're only telling one story. And I think part of the reason that I've slipped a bit in the rankings is because this style of course has become more and more obsolete. And this is a style that is true to my game. And so, yeah, I love it personally for the way that it plays for my strengths. And I really hope that it's here to stay. I think that if you don't have courses that change angles and change your comfort zone a little bit, and if you take away the putter shot off the tee, if you take away the mid-range shot off the tee, then it just becomes monotonous. And I don't want to see all woods courses, and I don't want to see all open courses. I just hope that we can continue to balance it out with nice tracks that challenge all that disc golf has to offer, because we can challenge so many different things. I think at one point on the front 9, Yuli was making a point that by the 6th or 7th hole, we had seen Kevin Jones throw a backhand, a sidearm, a backhand roller, a 400-foot grenade, a turbo putt. Those are the kind of things. I love that. Don't you guys? I mean, don't you want to see us try different things?
Yeah.
And if you do, then yeah, we need to encourage people to have challenging 230-foot holes. That maybe it's not so much about are you going to take a bogey or double bogey, but the race to get the birdie or the par, that becomes the challenge. And like I said, you don't want to do this every week, but I think that it's very important that we integrate this into the tour and we cement these things. And I hope it's Idlewild, because I think it's a fantastic track. It's the number 1 course in Kentucky, number 4 of all the Disc Golf Pro Tour courses, number 4 ranked out of all of them.
Would not have guessed that.
And it's pretty crazy to think that it only has, for a course that feels short, it only has 5 par 3s. 5. That's it.
Yeah.
And arguably the rest are par 4s, 16 and 8. 16, I could see the argument calling that a par 5 if they bring that left side back to being as tight as it used to be. I think it played as a par 5 back then. But I have no objection to them potentially relooking or revisiting hole 8 being a par 4, because the scoring average is 4.16 or 4.18, somewhere in that range.
Mm-hmm.
Those are par 4 numbers. That's just a very difficult par 4, especially when you're getting 19 players getting the 3.
Yeah.
You know, that's 19 players got the birdie, not the eagle. But anyways, I do enjoy a nice eagleable par 4 or eagleable par 5. But anyways, that's not the question. I'm answering like 4 questions in one here.
I was going to say, Cal, we don't even have to speak. Keep going.
And if you want to talk about the baskets, we can talk about the
Talk about the baskets.
We will talk about the baskets.
Yeah, sure. I mean, prompt me with a question, because I have a lot to say, and I've actually had conversations today with people that are relevant to this conversation.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we see is we don't have a perfect basket in disc golf, and I don't think there will ever be a perfect basket, but we do see baskets that are prone to spitting out more than other baskets. And Evan's got the fairy tale idea that everyone just needs to putt softer. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with that.
No, he does. He does.
I do want to lead in this question before we let
Yeah.
Jerm give a great answer.
Go ahead, Evan.
Okay. What is the goal when finishing a hole in disc golf? Is it to hit the center pole, or is it to have it land in the basket, or be supported by the basket?
Yeah, that's the question you're asking me, or is that just a hypothetical? Or
I mean, it's a little bit of both. So I think you know where we're going with this. I think you can put together your thoughts on this, both with my lead in, what Nick's saying, and what everyone on tour is saying as well.
So, gosh, I mean, this could be the entire conversation in this podcast today, and I don't think we would ever get to a good conclusion, especially not with your belief system in this matter.
Yes,
yes,
Jerm, he's
sir.
so
Yeah.
wrong. Thank you.
No, I'm only messing. But
I love it. I love it. Don't worry. Don't stop.
At no point in any conversation, in any context, no matter what the subject matter is, will people all agree on one thing. And I think that we all know that. So
I think we can agree on that.
Yes, that's one thing that we can all agree on, is that nobody will ever agree on one thing. That being said, I think that the sport still has enough old heads and traditionalists that bring that mentality around, where they adapted their putting to like Mach 3s, maybe Mach 1s, even if you really go back. And their putt was geared towards very lofty, very pace oriented, and very much, can I leave it close when I miss, you know? And I think that was because of disc technology and basket technology. And I don't think that the objective in our sport is the exact same as a golf ball trying to roll it in at a perfect speed. I think that speed is important, but I also think that speed can be not just the putter's friend. I think it can be their enemy. You know, I mean, if you're not accurate, your speedy putt is going to zip long, and you're going to have someone 3 and 4 putting, or you're going to have someone hitting the cage really hard, which jumps up and rolls away. And you have all sorts of issues that occur when somebody putts with heavy pace. I think it is far more accurate to reward a swish jump shot without having some board a foot beneath the net that if you swish it too good, it might jump back up through the net up the wrong way. Mm-hmm. I think that we should do whatever we can with our basket design to ensure that a putt that is centrally positioned from the putter's perspective stays in that basket. And even if that means that putts that we are accustomed to seeing normally push out, if those grab, I say so be it. I would much rather people give it a good effort and have putts stay in the basket than anything that has ever deserved to stay in spit out. I think that it's such a disrespectful moment there for the player and for the spectators and for the field. Everyone gets cheated out, and nobody's sitting there, you know, like doing this, like, haha, that's, you know, one place higher in the tournament. You know, I saw Matty O personally on the same basket 2 days in a row go right through, Swiss cheese, slip and slide, right out the backside. And I'm sitting there, and I have a visceral reaction at that moment. I am connected to this man's performance in a way. And obviously I'm focused on my game, but I don't want to see that happen right before I have to putt. In my confidence level for whatever putt whatever I'm lining up, goes from me focusing on my chain link to, wait, is this the right chain link, or am I actually going to spit out if I make this? And that's horrible. And so talk is cheap, right? Like we all have fun having these debates. Oh, how do we make disc golf better? Oh, baskets suck, yada yada yada. We all have a million opinions about these things, but if we don't actually talk to somebody about it, then we go nowhere. Yeah. So I decided to call Jeremy Rusko, and we talked about it today. And he acknowledged that he was a little bit disappointed. And I'm sorry, Jeremy, if you feel like I'm betraying our trust, but I feel like this is all stuff that we can talk about. Mm-hmm. They had different chains at DDO, and I didn't necessarily remember any bad spit outs at DDO. But those chains, those shiny chains, they're not heavy enough. They don't have enough texture on them, and they produce spit outs. There's something faulty about them. And it's producing a higher rate of spit outs than we see with any other baskets. And it's not a good look for dynamic, and it's not a good look for disc golf. Mm-hmm. And they acknowledge that, and I don't think they'll have this issue again. I really hope that we won't, because they know that there's a problem.
Now, for someone who is doing commentary all 3 days, and you're also playing all 3 days, so you're working with so many different people throughout the disc golf tournament, do you think you could put a number on maybe what you saw throughout the 3 rounds at Idlewild?
A dozen. Yeah. I mean, if not more. Did anyone watch the second round coverage where we did the worst ever commentator jinx on Aaron Gossage on hole 8?
I did not see that.
It is absolutely, it's horrible and fantastic the way it plays out all in one. Gannon Burr misses his putt a little bit to the left side, but it goes in. And so we were joking about, oh, Gannon's so good at putting that he can laugh at the field because he can even miss his putts and make them. Mm-hmm. And then I remarked, well, better to miss them and still make them than to make them and then miss them. And then right then it was Aaron Gossage's turn to tap out. I mean, we're talking like bullseye's edge. And then Yuli said something along the lines of, like, especially with this guy's nose down putt. And then I did the whole Portland, that little reference.
Yep.
And none of us knew he spit out, that he was about to spit out. But a tap and putt from bullseye goes in the dead center and pops right back out over the lip. And it was just one of those moments where we were all like, no!
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like, completely, genuinely, none of us knew that was about to happen. And we set it up for the worst jinx of all time. And it was just like one of those, and at that point, it was the second round. So it was the first one I think we'd seen. No. Chris Clemens had one on 18 round 1. Mm-hmm. And that was the first one. So I think that was the second one that we had seen. But from there on, it got pretty gross. And especially on my cards. I saw it. I only had one myself, but I personally witnessed in person 7 or 8.
Yeah. And that's one person witnessing that many just on your cards in and of itself. Now bring the rest of the field into play and all the different putting techniques that we have in the sport right now and the different stiffness of putters. I mean, we're seeing that consistently. And, kudos to you talking to Jeremy Rusko about that and trying to figure out, hey, how can we make this better? Because it is a bad look on Dynamic's part. And the presenting, one of the presenting sponsors of the event, they want their names on the basket. They want to be known that they are sponsoring this event. And it's something that, for future, you don't want to see it.
They're not sitting in some underground cave. They're aware of what's going on. Mm-hmm. And, I don't want to just badmouth something without like trying to find a solution. I think that I've done that in the past without realizing it. And mm-hmm. I think that if I can be an agent for change in some way, it's to communicate these things that we have issues with, like talking to the PDGA when we have an issue with the way a tournament was ran, instead of just talking to our peers about it. We actually have to go to somebody. There's no record about anything if we just talk. So, but yeah, I mean, I've put a post on a page where a lot of players were able to put feedback in, asking them what they think. And I said, hey, I'm willing and able to take a big L on this one, but I think these baskets need to be removed from tour. And, let me know what your thoughts are. I'm not trying to just interject my opinion on everyone else. Is everyone else having the same feelings about this? And so far, everyone that's commented is like, yeah, like, even though I putt soft, I've seen enough where I'm like, yeah, I don't like seeing it. Mm-hmm. And so it seems like we're all kind of on the same page here. So, like I said, I think that they're going to be addressing this. And I think that hopefully my ultimate hope is that the Disc Golf Pro Tour adapts their own basket that is not manufacturer branded or biased, and that it can just be the target that goes with us on tour all year. I don't want to have to learn how to putt on this basket versus this basket versus this basket. And if Discraft or Innova or Dynamic Discs or Latitude don't like it, well, sorry, this is the Disc Golf Pro Tour, and these are the targets that we're using. So I hope that we can find some target that we can implement our opinions about what makes a good basket, such as removing the Prodigy and Dynamic and Latitude flat top. The one thing that I really like about the Innova disc catcher is it has that concave top, and so you don't get these ramps off the top that shoot you to 45 feet when you miss, or produce rollaways for putts that don't really necessarily deserve rollaways. So those kind of things. If we can kind of get like an open discussion going, we can maybe come to an agreement on most of the principles that make a good basket, design it, and then compete on it.
Mm-hmm. And I think there is a way to make the manufacturers happy at the same time with that. One of the things that I've always said is make the top a removable top, to where if it's a Discraft event, now you got the Discraft top. It's the same amount of chains. It's the same setup of the basket in and of itself. All you're doing is just changing the top, and so that the presenting sponsor is put on there. I mean, obviously it's easier said than done, but
because everyone's doing different chains. I think the chains are a lot of times the issue that I'm having. I think you just have a magnetic band or a vinyl sticker that can wrap around each band, and then that is what changes every week. I don't want to change the metal construction. I don't want to change anything about it. I want the baskets to be played on, and if we see issues, we can address them at that time, and then we can, but these things take years. It's not like, hey, here's a good idea, Jeff Spring, let's do it tomorrow. It's like, okay, well then this goes through this committee, this committee, this committee. Now we got to design it. Now it's got to be manufactured and so on and so forth.
Be tested.
So, who knows when this will come about, but I think it's the future of the sport.
I agree. And we've actually talked about this a number of times on the podcast, where having a designated target of the Disc Golf Pro Tour is huge. I mean, basketball players play on the same hoop every single week, every single day at their games. It's the same size, everything like that. A golf player is putting into the same hole. It's put in different locations, but the whole diameter, the whole depth, everything like that is exactly the same. I feel like we are one of the few sports, if the only sport, where constantly every single week pro players are having to adapt into not just how they're playing the disc golf course in general, but how they are putting. I mean, we can look at, you are more of a spin putter and you have a faster putt than someone else does. And to where you might think to yourself in your head that, hey, I'm playing on dynamic discs, baskets this weekend. I'm, maybe need to change it up. Who knows? But yeah, I think that's a conversation. I mean, realistically, like I said earlier, not everyone's going to agree on it. We could talk about it for hours on end, but until
easily
something actually happens with it, and it sucks. Realistically, it does suck to see the spit outs, especially on ones like you're talking about, Gossage's, pretty much bullseye tapping. We saw that at Idlewild now. We've seen it at Portland before. We've seen it in Gossage is a little bit of a fiery putter. Evan, I'll give you that one a little bit. Don't get me wrong. And I think
I'm biting my tongue here.
I think Aaron scarred Evan. I'm going to be honest. I think ever since then, Evan, anytime he sees a fast putt, he just gets a little PTSD from it. But
I guess here's my responsibility at this moment. Hearing that Evan is a pace is very important type of guy, which I respect that opinion. Can you explain to me what's your priority in a good putt? Like, why is pace important? What do you think deep down? Where does that come from? And is that more important than somebody zipping it in there? To me, zipping it in there is kind of like the 2-meter rule, where it's like, sometimes people zip it into a tree and it stays, and sometimes it falls, and so it's like luck of the draw. What are your problems with people putting fast? And do you secretly enjoy them spitting out when they do?
Yeah, well, I'll start off with the ending point. I don't enjoy seeing them spit out. It makes me sad. I agree. I don't think it's a good look for the sport. This music is fantastic, Ben. Thank you. I fully understand what you're saying, and I think we come from kind of different types of cores, like what you see in it. And I think my thought comes a little bit more of like anti-complaining first. I really don't like seeing people be like, oh, that basket didn't catch because you spun it in there 80 miles an hour, a little bit nose down. So I think it comes from, you have to know what you're putting into. These baskets don't, the ones that we saw at Idlewild, don't catch those crazy fast spin putts as well as other ones. And you couldn't say that's a fault of the basket. I'm more of ignoring that fact. And I'm saying, you know what you're putting into, make sure you adjust accordingly. And you made it clear you don't think players should have to adjust course to course and basket to basket. I'm not arguing whether they should or not have to. I think having a basket on tour would be good, but we're not at that stage. We're putting on different baskets each week. You need to know that. And I don't want to hear the whining or the complaining. You know what you're putting into. And I will say, like, I love the analogy that you don't want to plank under the hoop. And, you know, if you swish a 3-pointer, but it bounced out, doesn't count. Like that would suck. I understand that. A lot of sports have set equipment standards, but a lot of sports also don't. I mean, like soccer has different types of nets. It's the same size, but there's different types of nets. Of course, if it goes in fully and bounces out, it doesn't
passes
matter.
The line.
Passes the line, as
we
we saw from the World Cup.
Yeah.
But like baseball has different fences. I mean, but we have different courses. There's so many analogies to make. So I think it's a little variabilistic. I'm making up that word in the moment.
I think it's a perfect word.
I think, thank you. I think you know where I'm going with it. I just don't want to see the complaining. That's the core of it. I do want to see, I loved how you wanted to say anything that was kind of like close should count. Maybe that's not exactly what you meant, but I'm trying to repeat, not close. That wasn't the right way.
Yeah, it's not
that was bad.
Well, I guess where that comes from for me is thinking like, yes, the traditionalists or the old heads, they like the lofty dropping in, but like if we're going to be even older headier, let's go back to tone poles. Let's go back to the time where if you hit this little pole and it made a little ding, you completed the hole.
Count it.
Right?
Yeah,
so
I like that.
We've got this pole and it's in the middle of this basket and I'm trying to hit that pole. And the chains are there to protect my disc from hitting that pole. But if my disc is coming anywhere near grazing that pole, but all of a sudden, because there are chains there, it pushes me back out, I feel like we've gotten away from the original purpose of Frisbee golf. It's to hit this thing. And I have now hit this thing, and it is, I mean, obviously our sport has changed into trying to nestle into a basket, and the dynamics of that change the whole idea behind how I putt. But I mean, if I am en route to central putt, and the chains or the pole itself hit me back out, and my putt doesn't count, it seems like we've lost something, and I want to protect that from being discounted. And I think that to me, fundamentally, that's more important to me than anything else. So that's where I stand with it. But
I think you also just set us up for the perfect clickbait that Jeremy Koling wants to go back to totem poles and disc golf. And I think we can put that as a video title.
Yes,
and
I'm
think
changing
it
it right
might be
now.
one of the most, I think it might be one of the most viewed podcast clips
Literally
just
doing it
because
right
of
now.
that.
Totem
I had to
poles.
jump in and say they're not totem poles.
No, I know. Just
But
I do
love
want
the
to show you
totem
something, but
pole.
You can show us.
This is not supposed to be anti dynamic discs. All right, I need this to be very important. This is not anti-dynamic discs, but I did create this sketch this morning in response to my feelings about the basket this weekend, and here it is.
There we go.
yeah, there we go.
Public service
That's where you
announcement.
stand. I think this is a good point to move on to new topics. Are we all in agreement? We can
Well,
put this
I just
one
wanna-
to rest?
Yeah.
I just want to say one thing. Big Jerm, thanks for coming on for that very moment. Evan's been bullying me about this whole year. He's literally been bullying me like,
Okay.
put slower. One time I was in tournament and it spit out for me from like 10 feet. He's like, and I didn't even say a word. He was just like, well, you got to know the basket, brother. So that's your fault. And I was like, Evan, I'm literally like, I accepted my defeat. Why are you coming at me?
I'll defend Evan a little bit on this part just because Ben does putt a million miles an hour.
Yeah,
Like,
I do.
He
Ben-
comes whining into the group chat. Oh, I missed another putt. Like, I'm trying to explain. I don't care if I'm right or wrong. I just
Well,
need
I
you, Ben,
think
to
even
stop
Evan-
complaining.
Even Evan in this moment will agree that there are times you have seen putts that came in with the proper pace in the center, and inexplicably somehow the disc was no longer in the basket.
Sure.
And in those moments, what do you say?
That stinks. I'm sorry.
No, you say putt better or something. Whatever you say. All right, yeah. Next topic's fine.
There's
though.
physics.
All right,
there.
let's-
I don't
yeah.
know.
Here,
All right.
I'll throw something up new. Jeremy Koling, you just got a new Tour Series disc, a Halo
Yes.
Champion boss. Have
Guys.
you thrown it?
It's in
I
the
have.
truck at this very moment. My wife just went over to the house where we had them delivered, and she just picked them up. I haven't seen or touched them but they are
Can we-
about
Ooh.
45 feet away from me right now.
Can we get like a live reaction unboxing?
Oh, that'd be
If-
sick.
If Jules is able to go out to the truck and get them, then yeah, we can. But
Yeah.
it's also raining right now.
Even
Ooh.
better. We'll just, it's all
So let's
for.
talk about something else. And if it happens, it happens. But
All right,
All right.
sounds good.
I'm gonna go to this because at Statmando, I've heard it enough already since the last 2 days. I'm sure you have heard it a million times more. But you and Yuli both beat Nate Sexton at a tournament. You both combined. He came in last place out of the trio.
yeah,
So I had to look this up because enough people asked that I'm like, all right, it's worth it to look it up. So I'm putting it to you. When all three of you are at the same event, do you know the last time that Nate finished last of the trio?
was it Vegas 2022?
No, I don't have the exact I don't have the exact numbers of any event. I just know which one it was at. So
Okay,
we could pull up Vegas 2022 and find out. But
I
it is.
yeah.
I was going to go. It's 2021 Preserve was the last time that happened, over 2 years ago.
That's wild.
So,
And it's so frustrating because there's been so many times when last round I've got Nate by like 6 strokes. I'm not even thinking about him, and then he'll just shoot a 9 down, and I'll just like be like, shot 200, not that great of a round, and I'll look at my scores and I'll be like, that rat bastard got me by a stroke again. Are you freaking kidding? And like, I love Nate. I want him to do well, but there's something about the trio that when he sneaks up and gets me by 1 stroke, I actually am like, I feel a little bit different type of pain. I mean, it's like pain, and then there's like that pain, and it's different and it hurts. And thank you for reminding me about it, though.
Well, hey, you get to live in sweet victory for the until he. I'm guess is he? You all playing Deaglo? I don't really know, but at least for
Nate's
a week.
not playing Deaglo, so
There you go. You get it
yeah.
until Worlds most likely.
That's
And
crazy though. 2021, huh?
And I got to say this as well, because we didn't even mention Yuli, besides the fact that he beat Nate. He came in tied for 4th. That's his first top 5 at an elite or a major since COVID-19 hit the US. Big, like, good for him getting in a top 5. It was 2020 Waco was the last time he had it. He does have a few silvers in between, but
Okay.
big ups to him, because I know he's been working hard, dealing with injuries through those times.
Yeah, I don't know if people really truly know. I mean, I know he posts pretty decent amount on social media, or at least his manager does. And I mean, but people are pretty well informed about when he's going through injuries and whatnot. But like, even seeing him every day and practicing the practice rounds with him and whatnot, like seeing how he was practicing and then being like, yeah, this guy's poised to kick ass, and then going out to the tournament and then just slopping up something that just didn't make any sense was really baffling me. I couldn't figure out what was going on with him. And, in some ways I didn't want to believe it, but I felt like his heart was out of it, and maybe he just didn't want to compete anymore. And, when that spirit's gone, it's like, you can do whatever you want with your form. It doesn't matter. If your heart's not in it, you're just going to stink. But man, the way he's been playing the last 2 months, it's like, yeah, Yuli's back, baby. And it's awesome that people can actually see that he is an incredibly skilled disc golfer, and we're not just a bunch of old guys being like, hey, remember the old times? Like, we can actually like still kick some butt. And yeah, I mean, he's proven that at different styles of courses. I mean, he's one of the top, I would say he's one of the top 25 best or most influential disc golfers of all time, at least on the pro touring circuit, just for everything he's done on and off the course. And I think that people might be forgetting that he's actually a badass disc golfer, and I'm glad that he's starting to prove people that that's who he is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with the top 5, and I think people need to know he's won a national tour in his life. Has that elite win back at Brent Hamburg, I think, in 2011. Yep, he is also the first to 200 starts in elite or majors. I know we posted about that a couple weeks back. I think it was PCS was the 200th. So first one to do that, still has the most, and it doesn't look like he's slowing down. So
most
keep that
unique
record.
people beaten as well.
Oh man, how did I forget that? Yes. That's so cool. He was the first to 6,000 unique PDGA members beat. And he really obviously has been going up from there. I don't know the exact number. I'm sure I can look it up quick enough.
He was always the guy, like when we were on tour back in the NT days before the Disc Golf Pro Tour had come around, he was always the guy that found all the honeypots. And so that was one of the reasons why he has such a large number of unique people beat, because he's literally gone to like the A tier in North Dakota. You're like, what is Yuli doing in North Dakota this week? But he just found a good tournament. He goes up there and takes
winning 2,200.
Yeah, and then he just comes down. We see him at the next national tour, and everyone's like, what'd you do last week? And I'm like, I went home. And then Yuli's just out there grinding C tiers and B tiers and A tiers, and it's just like constantly motivated by traveling and touring and competing. So that's what gets you, man.
I kind of got a little something about C tiers, B tiers, and A tiers, and I'm kind of looking at your PDGA page right now. 2 wins on the year so far. You have a B tier win and then a C tier win actually out in Spain. But your B tier win, you won by 4 strokes. It was actually in North Carolina, right in Charlotte, which I think is where you are living nowadays, or you would call that your home.
Holidays.
Yeah. Can you kind of, and this is a question, we've always, wondered, like, if you took an average athlete and put them up against an Olympian, how bad do they get smoked in a race and stuff like that? Now, take a top touring professional disc golfer. You've won Elite Series events before. You've been at the top stage in the world. Can you kind of talk to us what you think kind of the skill level is between a 10-20 rated touring disc golfer versus maybe a 10-10, 10-20 rated local disc golfer?
A 10-10 touring golfer is, on average, my opinion, 5 to 7 strokes better than a 10-10 local player, because of the way that ratings are so deflated nowadays on tour.
Nick.
No, keep it going.
I say that with love. I'm excited for this, Jerm. Keep on going.
If anyone, oh boy, Nick, are you like the Evan?
No. So okay. I'll say this. I think tour ratings used to be more inflated than they are now. They used to be.
They used to be because there was disparity.
There was disparity, but there was also, we weren't playing such, and what I've noticed is a lot of these longer courses, let's take Northwoods Black, for example, or you take these par 70, par 72 courses.
Points per stroke.
Exactly. That's something that we didn't used to have. I don't think, like, I don't remember the first tournament where I ever saw that, and I was like, oh my gosh, except for at local tournaments, I would see, 6.5 points per stroke. But I remember, when I played a couple DGPT events, it was 8 points, 9 points, 10 points almost at some of these events. And so everyone kind of got the fair idea that the ratings on the Pro Tour were more inflated than they were at your local
event. Ain't the case anymore now, buddy. It's so the opposite. Yeah. I mean, we're playing a lot of courses where there are a lot of holes with OB, like Eureka, for instance. And that's why Cole Redollin's incredible 14 under was rewarded with a very high-rated round. And you need OB on courses like that to differentiate the players who are just out there having a bad time, chucking it up, and they're actually getting penalty strokes. But on a course like Idlewild or Northwood Black, even though the difficulty level is vastly different, you're still having a lot of holes that just have no out of bounds, even though Idlewild does have it out of bounds. And so does Northwoods. But it's mostly just the challenge of the woods. And you're talking about everyone shooting so hot because everyone is so good. So there's no way that somebody can actually break free and actually get the round that they are warranted. Like, for instance, let's go back to the warm-up event at Eureka, which happened, I believe, Monday before Ledgestone. I shot a 3 under, and it was 1041 rated. Okay? Chris Dickerson came out there and shot a 9 under, and it was 1080-something rated. You think a 9 under was 1080-something rated when the whole field was there?
No.
Because
the 14 was what, 1090-something?
Yes,
1096.
Exactly. So we're talking about several strokes per average, per tournament that are just being lost because the whole field is going whoop, top heavy, and everyone being so good, there's no way for anyone to actually distance themselves from the field with any given round. When you see that happen, this is why I've always been, for the last 2 years, encouraging the ratings on a curve towards the top, because that way you kind of mitigate a little bit of that lost rating point that is deserved for those players who actually do. Like, for instance, like Micah Groth last week, shooting a course record 14 under. What was it, like 1070? 1070 rated? 14 under at Idlewild.
Yeah.
That is so disgustingly horribly rated.
1071, yeah.
Ratings aren't. whatever. Who cares? If we do have ratings, let's do them the right way.
Correct.
That's my only argument for that.
Hey, so
That's a great ending argument to that. I will say that we do have it. It's the same thing with the baskets. Evan said it earlier. You know, we do kind of have to switch our putts because we are dealing with that right now. With the ratings, we do have ratings. They're not gone. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. They're still there.
Fix them.
Yes. Yeah.
Amen.
What I'll say, Jerm, we can. I don't think we disagree that much on baskets. I just more am anti-complaining, but. But I do fully agree with you. I think a curve would be a great solution for having these more courses with a higher total number of strokes. And when you have the SSA, or not, it's not technically the SSA, but I'm messing up my terms here. But when it's a 10 points for a half a stroke. It's I'm saying this all backwards. I'm confusing myself. And I think that's what happens to everyone. But I'm with you. It's doing it on a curve would be the best solution for when you have. The endings, the entire field by 3 strokes is so incredibly huge at a tour event.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. You're referring to Dynamic Discs round 3 last year, right?
You beat the field was that the tornado round? You beat the field by 3 strokes?
I beat the field by 3 strokes, and it was a 10:59 rated round or something. It was one of the best rounds I'd ever played, and I didn't even scratch 1060.
You shot like 2 under, so I don't know what you did.
3 under with the ace
3 under on a par 66 or something. So that's just a lot of strokes. It was the
heaviest wind anyone had ever played. Anyways, but the ending argument for that, and I think that this is the point that we can all agree on, is that the difference between a 2 over and a 2 under is way different and way more important. It's way more important, the difference between a 10 under, which is a really great round, and someone shooting a 14 under. Those 4 strokes are much harder to gain than the 2 over and the 2 under. Those are just lost because it's just a mediocre round. But when you're shooting hot, to get each individual extra stroke beyond a certain point, it's like, okay, fantastic, incredibly fantastic, magnificently fantastic, and then like superstar 1100, and we're missing that with these courses because no one can separate. But if you do, you're not rewarded for it.
Yeah. I would definitely say that.
That was my magic thing.
I mean, it's kind of, I think about it where, the highest rated round ever is 1132, 17 down, Fountain Hills, years and years ago. But we also have seen Paul shoot 18 down 2 different times on, I would say, D-Glow being the hardest course to, I remember my first time ever going to D-Glow and playing that course and shooting 18 down there.
The style of shots is just, everything is.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah, exactly. And I think kind of going back to the original point before we get into the ratings talk is, so a 1010 touring rated player is significantly, I shouldn't say significantly, but on average better than a 1010 local rated player.
I mean, it depends on your local area, because all these things are affected by, it's not a perfect system. So, I mean, ratings don't really mean you're going to be better than anyone anyways, but I would contest that if somebody has a touring average of 1010, they're going to be ready to go to a local event and just shred. I mean, they've been hardened by the circumstances that tour provides, and then when they're in a home comfortable environment and they're eating mama's cooking, I think they're going to be ready to start whooping down.
I think that it's always fun because I have 2 A-tier wins, and both of them weren't the most strong fields in the world. One of them had Andrew Fish at it, and the other one up in New Hampshire didn't have a very strong field at it. And I was fortunate to walk away with a win. And then I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, man, I won one of them by, it was 10 or 11 strokes, played really well. I think I averaged 1030 or 1035, something like that. And I'm like, what if Paul came to this, or AB, or Jeremy Koling? Like, what if one of these players came to it? Do they win by 18? Like, do I get second place by 15 strokes? So someone like Simon, he came out and played a C tier when I was living in Massachusetts, and he smoked me, like absolutely smoked me at that tournament. And it's just crazy to, I'm an average decent player, local guy. I get a couple wins per year, but I'm nowhere near when I go out and play practice rounds with my good friends who are out on the tour. And it's just this crazy, I don't think people realize how much better these players are. And so I wanted to go back just because Yuli is someone who goes back and does play some C tiers, B tiers, and A tiers in their local areas. And just to see what the kind of difference is in your head. I
mean, wealth of knowledge of different situations. not being maybe mentally rattled by the moment when you are playing an event where there's not much on the line as far as all the things that you could factor in on tour. It frees your brain up to be a little bit more reactive to your instincts, and you're not maybe concerned about, oh, if this guy makes this putt, then then we'll be 2 strokes apart, or I do those kind of things sometimes on tour that are completely obsolete. It's completely unnecessary mind games. But when I'm playing, when I played in Japan Open this year, I was like, this place is beautiful. Oh, I've got a shot. Let's do a shot. Okay, sweet. But like, it was like a complete. I wasn't bogged down by the game where you find the words.
Yeah,
of course.
I wasn't distracted, and so I think that's what playing those smaller events is the biggest advantage, because we're coming from a much more stressful environment. And so, but the wealth of knowledge, like, we're playing courses at elevation, tight woods, open, long, OB, water, carries, you name it. So when you put a 280-foot hole in front of us, it's got like a slight bend to the right or left, you're just like, that's it? All right. And it's
Sweet.
like,
yeah,
cool, that's a birdie. Well, I'll just get 12 of them real quick. And then, so I think that's maybe one of the advantages that like the touring guys might have when they play smaller events. But I think there's also just a confidence that you get from knowing that if you are doing well on tour, if you are making it, then I think that can translate into confidence as to like where you are compared to the world's best. And I think that's the main reason people go on tour in the first place, is because we are all ego driven in a way that we want to know when we have our best thing going, like, can I be the best in the world for 1 week?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that when we do get a little bit of that satisfaction or that validation, it translates into every other part of disc golf, C tiers, B tiers, A tiers included.
Nope, definitely. Before we let you go, because we've had you on for a good amount of time and know you want to hang out with the wife, but you're traveling around in a big old fifth wheel this year. How has that been in your travels? And this is something that you just started in the last couple of years. How has that been?
Doing it. Oh man, it's wonderful. I when I joined the show, I probably was still sweating from setting it up because we just got here, probably about 6:30. And, every week you got about an hour setup, hour breakdown, and then you got to drive, but then you're home, and we got the dogs with us, and a refrigerator and a shower, and a nice bed, and all the things we want, TV to watch our shows. It's a dream come true, man. It's what I always wanted to do. And really, I have, like, in many ways, COVID to thank for it, because 2021 was such a great year for Thunderbird sales that it allowed me to actually go out and buy a truck and actually go out and buy an RV. And just a reminder to anyone who's listening, like, your support of Tour Series stuff goes such a long way for us. And I couldn't believe that we could make it happen. But having it wrapped with Jomez on one side and Innova on the other side, I got to pinch myself when I look at it, because it is truly like a dream come true. And it's pretty fun.
That's awesome. And there's now going to be a new way to be able to support you with Halo Champion Bosses. And where can the fine people of the Nick and Matt Show pick those up?
You can go to any links through Instagram to the Innova Pro Shop. But yeah, it's Innova has Innova Proper, which does most of the base stock stuff, and then they also have the Innova Pro Shop, which does all the fun stuff, the Tour Series stuff. And so that's where you're going to go and see if they're sold out or not. I think that there'll probably be a few restocks, but that's the best place to go check that out. And also another cool thing, you can also support me getting a Lionheart hat or any Big Jerm merchandise from Diameter Apparel, or you can go through the Disc Golf Pro Tour Pro Shop now, which my wife works at. So you can see her and meet her in person at the tour stops. But if you want to get them online, then you can get them through Diameter's website. So there's several different ways that you can support, and they're all just greatly superior, just super appreciated. So
There you go.
from Bag Boy, they said, I talked to him today on my drive. They said that should be available either Wednesday or Thursday. So definitely keep an eye on that. They're setting the price at $229. The normal quad cart, I think, is a $270 cart.
Mhm.
So they're going to actually bump the price down a bit. And I do get a small portion of those sales. And I promise you, even to my Maple Hill folks who are pushing through the stones and the roots, you will love the quad cart more than you even know. I always use my cart at Maple Hill and everywhere I possibly can. I'm not just saying this because I'm biased. I truly believe it's the best thing you can ever do for your bag and for your back, actually. So check it out.
And we lost Nick, so
See you later,
he
Nick.
might be
I'm
coming back.
Yep. It just
you
takes
mentioned-
about 7 seconds every time.
Yeah, you mentioned Maple Hill, and I gotta say those Halo champion bosses. Which first Halo champion? That's wild. But when the first Halo star bosses came out, you threw that
you get
thing
'em?
over 600 feet at
You did?
1.
No, you
No.
did.
You did.
I
Are
was
you
like,
kidding me?
Evan.
No.
Evan, that'd be crazy.
Oh,
It took Evan 3 throws to get to that distance, but we're all right.
Yeah.
I had
Exactly.
I had the longest drive day one, I believe.
Yeah, it was day one when that crazy headwind, and you just threw that boss a mile. So
You
that's
saw
a good.
that.
I sure did. That was a good advertisement for that disc.
I have a
Well, I think my wife is actually about to run out to
Let's
the truck. So
go.
if you guys want to leave me on for one more minute, we're
Let's
actually
do it.
Absolutely.
I have
Yeah.
a
Are you on your computer or your phone right now?
my iPad.
Okay, I was gonna say I don't know if it works with your phone, but you should go on Instagram Live and just be like, "Hey," to all my Instagram people that aren't watching the show, and then all my people on the Nick and Matt show. But
Well, that's a
so
great
I
suggestion.
have the rarest end of a Halo boss tour series Jerm, because when I was in Charlotte when we did that video together, he
Yeah.
doodled on it. So I have a 1 of 1 Halo
Look at you,
Jerm
Ben.
boss.
Congrats.
What did I doodle on it? I forgot.
I don't. What is it? Galaga? It's like, yeah, Galaga. You did the Galaga ship. My callus ripped off. Spartan race. Anyways, you did the Galaga ship shooting a little alien dude. So there you go.
Nice.
1 of 1.
That is actually interesting that I did that on your Halo boss, your Halo Star boss, because the Champ Halo boss, the theme this year is maintained with the whole here we go.
All right, we'll go full screen.
The protagonist. Yeah.
yeah, folks, everybody, we are doing a live unboxing with Jeremy
This is
Big Jerm
crazy.
Koling on his new tour series disc,
Yeah.
the Halo Champion boss. So everyone tuning in live, all the more reason to watch our shows live Monday nights. Jeremy Koling, you are full screen. Floor is yours.
This is wonderful.
Yeah, and if you want to describe what you're seeing to our audio listeners too, for our Spotify
cool.
listeners.
Right now I'm seeing a box.
Somebody get that man a knife or scissors or keys.
Here we go. So the theme of this year's stamp artwork is, again, I wanted to get away from the whole mafioso boss type, where they just had the top hats or the Tommy guns. I thought that was kind of lame in a way, because it didn't really allow us to go any direction with it. And I try to take the interpretation of the word boss and think outside the box. And we ended up coming up with, well, I like playing video games. Every video game's got boss in different levels. So we decided to kind of take an abstract idea of finding the boss, finding the main battle at the end of the level. And here we go. Okay, so let's see if we can see this.
Oh yeah.
So we've got an intergalactic battle here with the Big Jerm spaceship shooting the brain villain, and this is in space here. And as far as I'm aware, this is the most ink heavy coverage stamp I've really ever seen them do. This thing is like mostly all covered. And down here we actually have really cool thing. We've got the stats for like lifeline or whatever, but it's actually the turn or the speed, turn, fade, and glide.
That's really cool. I like that.
And yeah, so it's just We got the gold rim, and oh my gosh. Okay, so the profile of these things has almost the same exact dome and hand feel as last year's domey poppy star bosses, which were, in my humble opinion, I will say the best distance driver for certified crushers ever made. A lot of people said, oh, I don't know, boss is too big for my hand. And I would do this blind test where I'd put a destroyer or a boss in their hand and ask them which one they were holding. And everyone got it wrong. Everyone got it wrong. So these things don't feel like too big in your hand. If you've got a smaller hand and you're afraid of going boss because you think that it's going to be too wide, just give these things a shot. And if you still feel that way, I'll happily take it off your hands when you're done. But yeah, these things, oh boy, look at this blue on blue. We got this orange on blue. This is happening right here, folks.
That's cool.
But the Halo, oh my gosh, look at this purple dog. The idea behind Champ Halo was they initially released Champ Halo Wraiths at the very beginning of Halo Plastic. And I was like, you know what? Like, we tried something new. They'd never tried a Halo boss before. I suggested that last year. And so I was like, you know what? Why don't we try something new again and try Champion? And, you know, they ran it by the people that they need to run it by. And they said, you know what? Let's see what happens. And I think that it's such a beautiful thing. We got mostly clear centers on all these, but look at this bright pink, beautiful one. Oh my gosh.
That's a winner right there. So
yeah,
you mentioned that Champion Halo Wraith early last year or this year. Are there any other discs that you can actually buy right now that are Halo Champion Halo?
So.
I don't know if I'm saying it the right way.
Yeah, no, Halo. Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, it's Halo Star, so I think this is Halo Champion.
Okay.
I think that right now, this is the only Halo Champion disc that you can buy anywhere. So, yeah, I think that's kind of why I wanted to try it out, was try something new and see if that excited the fans, because it excites me. We got a lot of different colors here. This like teal Jomezi color, that thing's sweet. But yeah, these feel just like last year's, which is great. I really wanted them to try to mimic last year's feel, like as close as they possibly could. And yeah, they nailed it.
So we're going to see hole 1 at D-Glow, Jeremy Koling throwing the Champ Halo Champ boss.
Tomorrow we got practice rounds, so we're going to find out. Hole one might be a destroyer for the carry, but I don't know. I'm definitely throwing it on hole 1. We're going to see if it gets there.
Hell yeah.
All right.
We'll be excited to see the video tomorrow at some point, hopefully.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, these things are awesome, man.
Hell yeah.
I love it. Oh, sweet. I can't.
Well,
oh yeah, did he just flip upside down?
Oh, and we lost.
And we lost audio.
Oh boy.
What did he even do? Can you
know.
still hear us, Jeremy?
Yeah.
So he can still hear us. Jeremy,
hear
we have had you on, and for some reason you're upside down and muted. We appreciate you joining in.
Oh, no.
I just want everyone to go back and watch
Perfect.
this YouTube video. Jeremy, thank you so much for tuning in tonight and just hanging out with us, doing the live unboxing. We very much appreciate it. Good luck to you at D-Glow. We hope to see another top 10 finish out of you so we can have you on again. Peace out, Jeremy.
Awesome.
That was weird. No idea how that happened, but
Badass.
it did.
Well, he's on an iPad, so maybe it flipped or something. I don't know. But
That's
hey, I'll say
hilarious.
there's very few people in this world that I'll take just straight up calling me wrong on a subject. So Jeremy, you're one
And
of those
I am
people.
one of them.
No, I don't like that. I will defend. I will argue to the end of my life.
You
against
argue with
Ben.
everyone.
Yeah.
You're just devil. You are the devil's advocate.
Yeah.
But not with Jerm. I appreciated his points. So
I have to say we'll have to get a clip of that. Ben, I don't know if you know how to do the clipping. Make sure we get a clip at the end of that. But yeah,
With
Jeremy,
them upside down.
I love it. He's so intense with everything, and he makes very valid points, and he's very, I don't know how to say it. It's just sound in his words. Like he's true to what he believes in, I think. And yeah, it was awesome being able to do an unboxing with him live.
yeah, he cares. Like, I mean,
Yes.
he cares, and he wants the best, for the whole sport, for the tour, and he's a good dude who cares about the right things. And yeah, good one, Ben. There. So we got Parker Welk coming in the green room very soon.
We do.
I did want to
Anyways,
say before we bring him on, just to cover the event a little bit more, I wanted to highlight Joel Freeman's cash streak. It ended this past week, unfortunately, but it was the highest elite or major cash streak. After we saw Nate Sexton miss cash earlier this year, Joel Freeman took the reins of that leaderboard. And unfortunately missed cash here at LWS Open. It ended, I believe it was 57 standard and elite majors in a row. He was 100% cash rate at Disc Golf Pro Tour events in his entire career. And that was with, oh man, I had the number. It's on our Instagram post. It was 60 plus events, I believe, at Disc Golf Pro Tour events. But now the leader of the elite or major cash streak is Calvin Heimberg, who's at 32 straight standard, elite, and major events getting cash. And the player with the most Disc Golf Pro Tour starts in MPO with 100% cash rate is, I'm going to just double check I have the right one. It's Evan Smith. I get Evan Smith and Evan Scott mixed up just like everyone else, but it is Evan Smith, who only has 13 Disc Golf Pro Tour starts, but has 100% cash rate. So that tells you something. It's hard to cash at every event. Yeah. The leader is a very young player with only 13 starts.
Dang, that's awesome. Well, thank you, Evan, for those stats. We are now going to bring in Parker Welk. Parker won the DDO earlier this year, and some of you may be wondering, why are we bringing Parker on? Parker is native to the island of Hawaii, and Maui, I think especially, was one of his hometown that was there. And we're going to talk to him a little bit just about his injury that's been going on, injured the ankle over at Ledgestone, and then just about the Hawaii stuff and what we can do as a community to potentially help out. So, Ben, will you bring in Parker for us?
Yes, indeed.
Thank you. Parker, thank you for joining in tonight. Appreciate you taking the time from driving to hang out with us. How are you doing, first off? Oh, he's frozen right now.
Oh.
Go ahead. One more time, Parker.
His data's bad.
Do you know how to lower the data that you're asking for?
Yes, I do. I'll try that, but it might just be because he's driving or in a parking lot. Give me a second.
All right, well, we'll get back to him. When Ben played the joke again and had him go, "Hey, Evan."
It was perfect.
So it sounded great then. So I'm sure we can get it working here in just a second. Ben will work his Matt magic. Or maybe...
I don't know. His data's pretty bad.
All right, well, we're going to try our best because we do want to hear from Parker.
I might have him just call in unless he can get to like...
if he can get somewhere with potentially a little bit better service, then we can bring him on in, because we actually do have a very fun
Evan, how'd you message him?
I was messaging him on Instagram.
Okay.
Do you want me to
I can message him
a message?
You guys just talk.
Not from the show.
Evan, earlier pre-show, we were talking about regular season player of the years.
Here. I think he's good now. It's green bars. You ready, Parker? Oh.
We'll see if this...
Well, his screen just went blank.
Okay, well, we'll hop in between subjects.
We'll hop in. Yeah.
Nick, you were saying we were talking about regular season awards.
Regular season awards. We're going to talk about player of the years in their respective division, MPO and FPO, and then also most improved players of the year for MPO and FPO. And this is for regular season. We're not talking about year end. We're talking about before the playoffs, pre-playoffs, whatever you want to call it, the regular season. Evan, hit us with your thoughts.
Yeah, and I mean, there's not an award for the regular season disc golf. We'll talk about what is the regular season or not. I do think it's a good timing. We're getting close to season's end. Who do we think are the leaders in each categories, and what will take to take the reins from that? I wanted to bring most improved into the mix as well, because we just had the two 2022 most improved winners both win, with Gannon Burr and Valerie Mandujano. I think that one's very subjective to choose what it is. Everyone has their own criteria, so it's a little bit tougher, but that's why we're sharing our thoughts and getting to it. To start off, let's go player of the year. I mean, we can talk about our accolades, but I think it's pretty clear at this point in FPO that Kristen Tatar is the player of the year, all things considered. Nick or Ben, is there anything?
There's no debate.
Is there any debate? Like, I don't know who would be next. I mean, Katrina Allen has 2 wins, but she also just missed cash at LWS Open and had her worst finish in her FPO career. Not to rain on the negative, but if she won out, would it be a question? Would another player won out? They would be tied in majors. Kristen Tatar has 2 of the 4, numerous other elite wins. I think it's really hard for anyone else to win, but I think it's worth at least asking the question and seeing if somebody else won out, would there be any chance?
No.
If somebody else won out,
won
no,
out.
I still don't think so.
Missy Gannon wins every event from here on out.
We are talking about Throw Pink. We're talking about the World
Worlds,
Championships. We're talking about the Pro Tour Championships. I
And
mean,
U.S. Women's still has happened.
Yeah.
It's right before USDGC and Throw
those are
Pink.
4 massive
I think there's a
events.
debate.
You could make the argument.
Yeah.
You could make the argument. MVP Open and D-Glow with that. Yeah. I mean, let's say there's 6 tournaments left that are on kind of the Elite Series and major scale. If she won all 6 of those in a row, yeah, you would be able to make somewhat of an argument,
You know
I
what?
would assume.
I'd say it would be better than
Cat
Kristen
Mersch.
Tatar's season. That's my hot take. It's
Say again?
pretty cold to my. I'd say if someone won all the events for the rest, I think it would be better than Kristen Tatar's season.
Yeah,
That's my opinion. Just because Worlds is in there and Throw Pink.
Now that I said
majors.
it, I agree as well. I mean, the chances of any player winning every event here on out,
It's
pretty
slim to
low.
none. Yeah.
And
It's
the
not gonna
highest chance of those definitely being Kristen Tatar.
Yes.
So a player other than Kristen Tatar doing that would be pretty incredible.
Yeah.
But on the MPO side, I think right now it's a 2-horse race, but it definitely isn't only 2 horses, 2 players. I think more could be in the mix depending on how the rest of the season plays. But as of now, I think it's a choice between Calvin Heimberg and Gannon Burr. Statmando, we have our Player of the Year rankings where we run the points. Let me go check it real quick because it is awfully close. Calvin Heimberg leads with 4,501 points. Gannon Burr is at 4,409 points. Just a little over 90 points behind. So I'll start with you, Nick. Gannon Burr has more wins, but Calvin Heimberg's been more consistent. They both have had fantastic seasons. Who do you give the nod to?
I want to give the nod right now to Calvin Heimberg just because consistently he's been playing so freaking well. With 1 finish at a major outside of the top 10, he finished in 16th place, but Gannon Burr does kind of have these hit or miss events. When I'm looking at his PDGA page, we've got 10th, 19th, 21, 24, 24, 30, and 50th with a missed cash. I think if I'm looking at consistently who is playing better this year and who I think is the player of the year right now, I want to tip my cap to Calvin Heimberg.
All right, Ben, can you just send me the number for Parker to call? I'm going to send it to him. He's sharing a car with someone, so he's going to be staying in that spot. So he'll try to call in.
Okay.
If you can just shoot in the message.
Yeah.
In my opinion as well, I think I'm still leaning towards Calvin Heimberg just because of the pure consistency. His worst finish of the year is 16th at Champions Cup. I think every other event on tour has been a top 10 finish.
Yeah.
Gannon Burr, while having an extra elite win and having an extra silver win, so 2 wins on tour more, whether you want to count silvers or not, has had numerous events like outside the top 30, which before this season he hadn't done in his career. He was actually 100% top 30 before. But not to take away from that, just I think the consistency matters when it's so close in wins. The consistency matters more. Mm-hmm. Now, let's say Gannon Burr wins one of the 2 majors for the rest of the year and nothing else, and Calvin doesn't win anything else. I think that would be enough to give it to Gannon. But
especially if we're talking about the 2 majors that are kind of the most prestigious events that we've had in disc golf for a very long time, the World Championships and the United States Disc Golf Championships. I think if Gannon wins one of those and has solid finishes at the rest of the events, and Calvin has solid finishes but doesn't get a single win at those events, then I think I kind of start leaning more towards Gannon. Just because we're talking about wins on the bigger stage, and we are talking about now a substantial number of wins, potentially more. But like I said, as of right now, I think Calvin does have that player of the year.
All right, pardon me for a second.
No, you're good.
You want to chime in on anything?
Yeah, Gannon Burr, good player, good kid, good stick. Calvin, also a good guy.
Yeah.
All right, Ben, do we have that number open to receive calls?
Yeah, I just sent that to you.
Okay, awesome. I just sent it over to Parker, so
okay,
hopefully we get a call
when you
soon.
guys and next time you get anyone comments ever about Matt being on the show, like be reminded about all the mishaps. Okay, like Matt is necessary, just as like Nick's necessary, just like Evan's necessary. We all play our part, and yeah. Oh, incoming call.
Oh, here we go.
I don't know. Like, I honestly don't know how I'm gonna swing this. I'm literally just kind of guessing. So
on
you
the
guys
fly.
keep talking.
Oh, I'm going to talk about something really quick. Well, let's take a quick break from the Player of the Year talk. I want to talk about everyone going to our YouTube channel and
Is
subscribing
this
to
working?
it.
Am I in the right spot?
Can you guys
Oh.
hear that?
Here we go. Can you hear us?
I don't think. Hold on.
Okay.
Can-
I'm going to keep it going. Anyways, everybody subscribe to the channel. We've got a massive 10K giveaway going on in collaboration with the MVP Open at Maple Hill. This is for 2 VIP tickets.
I'm staying quiet,
Worth
but let me know if you want me to do
$2,200
something.
between
Okay,
both
cool.
of them,
You can hear me.
$1,100 a piece. And if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you do have a major chance of winning these tickets and being able to experience VIP status at the Maple Hill Open, or excuse me, the MVP Open. Golly, throwback. At the MVP Open, we are literally 80 subscribers away.
I can't hear you
from
guys talk
10K.
now.
And
You can?
we want to be able to give this to you. So go subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Nick and Matt Show. Where are we at?
We're working with Parker right now.
I'm trying.
I believe he said he could not hear us.
Oh, okay.
So-
Evan, can you just tell him what? You can? Oh,
There we
awesome.
go.
oh,
In the
got
chat-
IT
in the
Benny.
chat-
Yo, let's go.
All we need to know. I don't have the chat open because I'm still working on my setup. Can the chat
Yes, they
hear
can.
Parker? Awesome. We're golden then.
Sweet. If everyone can hear everybody, Parker, we are going to now officially welcome you onto the show a second time. How are you doing? Can Parker hear me? Because this actually might have happened before. Ben,
I
talk
can
to
only hear
Parker.
the
Can
one
he,
person that was talking.
Oh,
not-
you can hear me,
not
Parker.
her.
Oh,
Okay.
he can hear
Yeah.
you?
Ooh.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Tell him
Hold
this.
on, let
We're
me-
gonna.
let
I'm
me
gonna
a
collab
second.
because he's only gonna be on for a short minute.
sure, I'm
so Ben,
sorry.
just ask him how he's doing for one. How's the ankle injury, and then also just about what's going on out in Hawaii.
Hey Parker, I'm the English translator here for Nick. So what we're wondering is one, how you're doing, how's the ankle injury, and sorry, I'm reading the chat. They said they can't hear, but now they can. And yeah, just about Hawaii. Anything you want to bring awareness to? I know you have a couple of fundraisers going on, so yeah, just anything in that realm. If you want to just talk,
Right now, am I good to go?
you're good to go.
All right. What's up, everybody? I know I can't hear you, but thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. I will start off with my ankle, I guess, the injury. It kind of has transitioned into my arm a little bit as well, unfortunately, because of it's on video. I'm not sure if you guys have seen the video of me jamming a 60-foot putt. Jumped over the river. There was some rocks underneath some taller grass and came down on it funny. And I thought I snapped it. It made a very, very loud noise when I went down on it. And I guess it just cracked pretty loud. I was playing with Kevin Jones, and he got on the phone with Steph Muncie real quick. And he came over like the awesome human he was. It wasn't broken, so according to him. So I finished out the round, the last 2 holes I had to play. And then I kind of just went over to get it checked out a little bit more after the round, and he said, don't play on it, but I played on it. So I played Northwood Black all forehand, which was awesome. Such an experience. It was so much fun. Did not think I was going to make the cut, but I still wanted to try. And I ended up birdieing the last 4 in a row to make the cut. And I don't think I will ever forget that day. It was so
cool.
much fun. I was throwing some amazing shots and some of the worst shots I've ever thrown in my entire life, just trying to force them on some crazy angles and stuff. But it really was a lot of fun. But the ankle is doing decent now. There's all the swelling is pretty much gone, but it is very discolored above my ankle. So I won't be doing any practice rounds this week, but there's no way that I'll be missing this tournament. So I'm going to try my best again to play. And if the ankle, holds up, then I'm good to go.
Now, Ben,
Yeah.
since he can't hear us, just tell him, okay, thank you. Give me 1 second.
Okay, thank you, Parker. Give me 1 second.
Ask him about best ways that the disc golf community can help out with Hawaii.
So, Parker, What's the best way the disc golf community can help out with the situation in Hawaii? And if you want to give just a little backstory about what's going on in Hawaii and how it's affecting you and stuff like that.
Yes, of course. So basically right now, there's been such a disaster going on in my hometown where I grew up in Lahaina, Hawaii. Nobody really knows how it started. It's all speculation still, but I guess they're saying it's a mix between some high winds. There was a hurricane that passed near the Hawaiian Islands, and maybe like a downed telephone pole or something, and that started the fire, but it's all speculation. And that turned into the deadliest fire in U.S. history in the past century, which is very unfortunate, especially in a place like that where the history is just so rich, especially to the Hawaiian people, and it's so sad. And my heart is just breaking for everyone affected. Not even just those who lost their homes, their businesses, but everyone else who has been there, who has memories there, and everyone else on the island it affects, even though they're not part of it. Their house wasn't burned down, but everybody knows everybody out there, and it's very, very sad. A lot of my friends, their homes burnt down. My brother's home burnt down, and it's a really bad situation out there right now. And what we can do to help right now is pray and donate to them. I was working with Prodigy to make a run of discs that 100% of the money is going to go right back into Hawaii and to whatever that may be, whether it's food or if they need gas or water. But I'm getting a bunch of inside stuff from my brother who I talked to, and he's saying that it's way worse than what the news is telling everybody. There's way more death. There's way more destruction, and it's very, very sad. So, prayer is the number one thing, and donate if you can. And it's so terrible.
So, with the Prodigy disc, is that available already where people can support, or is it yet to happen?
It's been going on actually. They've sold out 3 times, I believe, already, and they keep running them.
Okay, cool.
Which I'm very thankful for.
Yes.
So they're on their 4th run, I believe, right now, and those might already be sold out, and I'm not sure how many more they're doing. But if you guys want one of those, feel free to go pick one up on prodigydisc.com.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. All right, yeah, wild situation going on in Maui. Definitely not something that you want to read or hear about going on in the world right now. But to our disc golf community and to the Nick and Matt Show community, if you can, head over to prodigydisc.com. And if they still have the discs available, please go support it, with them throwing all the proceeds to be able to help out with the relief going on in Maui right now. To kind of end it, Ben asked him just kind of plans for the rest of the season with the ankle injury. I know he says he wants to play D-Glow, and then we can let him go and get back to his drive.
Well, the chat just asked, I'll ask you a few things. Someone in the chat asked, is there a way to donate directly? 1. 2, what's your plans after, I guess, this show? Are you going to head to D-Glow, MVP, Worlds? What's your plans once your injury's healed? And yeah.
Yeah, so if you guys go online, there's so many different ways you can donate. It just depends on which one you would like to do. So do some research, make sure you're not donating to anything fake. But yeah, there's plenty of options there. And my plans right now, I just said bye to my tour partner, Jake Brown. He will not be finishing the tour with me. He's heading home back to Huntington Beach area, Orange County. And I'm continuing with a dream. I don't have a car. I don't have anywhere to stay. So right now I'm staying with Yuli on his floor. But if anyone is out there is staying near the courses on any of the Pro Tour stuff and wants to host me, please reach out to me. I'd love for that to happen. But for right now, I am up here at D-Glow. Like I said, I probably won't be doing any practice rounds. And then I will probably just kind of go out there and play it blind, see what happens. I don't know. But it is a once in a lifetime opportunity, or it could be for me to even qualify for this event. So I'm going to play it. And from here on out, I'll be doing pretty much everything else except for New York and Canada. But I'm signing up for Worlds, USDGC, MVP. And I just got an email today about the Pro Tour Championships, and I'm in. So I'm really excited for that as well.
There you go.
That's awesome.
Any ways to directly support Parker?
And any ways to directly support you or I guess even your brother directly, if anything.
So I did put out on my Instagram, it was my Venmo because there was no cell service or anything for a lot of people in Hawaii. And so you guys can still do that, and I will disperse it to either my brother or my close friends. I have many, many friends that lost their homes. It wasn't just my brother. That was one of the main towns that all of my friends lived in. So unfortunately, everything is just gone. It's super sad. But I'll say my Venmo. You guys can put it up or do something, and I'll disperse it to everybody, all my friends, my brother, everybody that lost anything there. It's Parker-Welk, WELCK. You guys can send Venmos to there, and I'll give them out to people directly to the families.
Parker-Welk, WELCK.
And now, Ben, you get to do the wonderful job of thanking him for coming onto the show for a little bit.
All right, well,
and yeah, go ahead.
Parker, thanks for coming on to the show. We appreciate you, carving out some time in this stressful thing that's going on in Hawaii, and thoughts and prayers are going out to all your families and friends, and we hope to see you all healthy for D-Glow, and we hope you shred. Is there anything else you want to say before we let you go?
I just want to say thank you guys for having me and bringing a little bit more awareness to Hawaii. It really does mean a lot, and thank you guys. That's all. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's the least we could do. It's such a tragedy that's happening. It's literally the least we could do. So thanks again.
Appreciate it. I know you can't hear us, but appreciate it, Parker. And let us know there we go. The hang up sound. One more time, guys, if you can, go buy a disc, help support it. The efforts that are going to Maui and everything like that. Very tragic situation going on right now. Seeing a couple of videos of it, just absolutely insane. People, jumping into the ocean. I can't imagine losing my home, losing, my car or anything like that. So if you can, please help out where you can. But Evan, we still do have a few more minutes left of the show. We'll kind of finish up our talk. We did, I think, kind of all come to the consensus that Calvin Heinberg and Kristen Tatar are the players of the year currently in the regular season. Now let's talk a little bit about most improved player, and I'm just going to throw it right out there. James Proctor, I feel like, is kind of the guy in MPO right now that's the most improved player.
Yeah, I think it's a little weird this year. I don't know. Maybe it's more clear than last year. Last year was a little weird too. As soon as you said James Proctor, I'm like, dang it. Why didn't I think of that?
Ezra Robinson is what the chat's saying as well.
Recency bias, I think, a little bit on the Ezra Robinson. Little bit, maybe.
Ezra Robinson was my thought, and I think, Nick, you do have it right. The recency bias is a little high. I think James Proctor is an interesting one because he's been around a while. He's had some really good finishes, but not to the amount of this year. As in, he's been consistent all year long. It's not just like, hey, look, it's Portland Open. This guy, James Proctor from the West Coast, is playing well. It's week in and week out. We see him on lead cards. Yeah. We see him finishing top 10s, top 20s. And like, just a lot more consistency. So I had Ezra Robinson going into this. Now that you say James Proctor, I feel like that's a lot more clear, but they're close. I think both worthy players.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of recency bias with Ezra since kind of the European swing, jumping over into, the latest swing that we've been having, the Midwest swing, I think. But Ezra's playing incredible. Don't get me wrong. It's been awesome to see what you kind of know as a powerful wide open player, really shredded up in the woods that we've seen lately. Northwoods Black, this past weekend at Idlewild, I'm pretty sure he played pretty well. So definitely his name, but I just, James all year, I feel like has just been consistently on the lead card at some big events, some elite series, some silver series, almost getting a couple wins, right there. The final round doesn't exactly go the way that he wants to, but I want to say that he's my guy.
Yeah, I like that. Let's swing it over to FPO. I'm going to be like, this one's hard. I think it's really tough. You think about the players who are playing really well this year. I mean, people are probably going to argue Kristen Tatar is approved on last year, which, I mean, she's having a fantastic season.
Yeah, we're not doing
that's
that.
That's not it. We got to move on. Missy Gannon wins this year from, she had a win last year too, but now we're 2 years removed for her great 2021 finish. Like Trina Allens, Owen Scoggins. I mean, people are going to think Ella Hansen, Holland Hanley, but it's kind of tough because I feel like they both have almost been under expectations. Fantastic players who are playing really well, but you almost expected a little bit more. Their ceiling still hasn't been close to being reached. So looking down, there's a lot of players who are good, getting better, but it kind of feels like there's not that player who's head and shoulders above. I'll also mention like Macy Villa-Diaz and Emily Beach. Both have had good finishes, but they've had good finishes before this year. Maybe they've been a little bit more consistent this year, having a little bit more events played. So it's tough. The pick I had going into this, though, which I think it can be argued it's a little bit of a stretch, but I still feel like it's worthy, is Allie Smith. And the tough part about this is she barely played last year. I think I have it up right here. She only played 5 elite and major elite and silvers, so on tour last season. Her best finish was 22nd at the Music City Open last year, a silver event. This year, the most improved part is almost throughout the year, so the award kind of is more of a year-to-year thought. But I kind of want to give it a pass this year because to start out the year, she was finishing, mid 20s, then kind of breaking into the teens and top 10. But then lately it's been fantastic since like the West Coast or so. And I mean, just recently, I mean, she did have an 18th at Ledgestone, but the Kansas City Wide Open was her win. She got a 9th at Dynamic Disc Open, and then going out to the West Coast swing, she was, 13th at OTB, had 2 top 10s at the silver events, and then another top 20 at Portland Open. It feels like she classifies the most for most improved, but I'll leave it to both y'all.
I kind of like that, and I was actually just going through her PDGA page. 26th is her lowest placement, and actually 26th at Idlewild was her first missed cash of the season so far. So someone whose name I didn't really know about too much before until this year, until we had her on the podcast. I think that's awesome. She hadn't missed cash literally until this last weekend. But I kind of throw it up to 3 people that we've heard about a lot this year that haven't gotten that big win yet, except for Kat Merch. She's one of my people. I know she won Jonesboro. But Ella Hansen, Holland Hanley, and Kat Merch are having such similar seasons with each other. But I think they are all playing above average to what I think I would have put on at the beginning of the year for them. So I'm kind of in a toss-up between those 3. And then the Allie Smith one was really good. A lot of people in the chat right now are saying Sai Ananda. I think Sai is definitely a good choice as well. Has not played as many events, though. Did pick up the Silver Series win. Also had the second place finish at the DG Plus event at the Portland Open. But when it comes to, I feel like most improved player, I'm in a pretty good debacle right now between Holland Hanley and Kat Merch, and I almost want to tip my cap to Kat Merch because she did get the big win at Jonesboro. And those are players where we don't see them in contention week in and week out. Last year, we did not see that. We saw it here and there. One of them would be in contention, maybe. But this year, we've seen Holland Hanley's come up a lot. Ella Hansen almost took down Waco. Kat Merch actually took down Jonesboro. Just 3 really good players that I think are slowly excelling in the right direction. So I kind of want to give it to Kat Merch.
Well, that brings us to Ben. Ben, what do you think?
I mean, it's pretty obvious what I'm gonna pick here. It starts with a K, ends with a T. Cat Merch. I picked her all season. Numerous times. I've really believed in her stride, I guess, as a FPO player. And yeah, her taking down the big win was a huge step, and I think she would be considered the most improved player on the FPO side. On the MPO side, yeah, I guess Proctor. Probably Proctor, but it's hard because he was always good. It's just he wasn't really shown, if that makes sense, because he was not touring.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
oh wait,
all
and
right.
James Proctor looks like Evan Kern, so there you go.
What? He does? That's an insult
guess-
to James Proctor.
I guess you just got to put on some sunglasses, Evan, and then
Yeah.
Ben thinks you guys would be twins.
It's true.
Yeah. I don't know
So-
about that. I don't want to bring James down to my level of a tier below James Proctor. I don't know how to say that without making
Yeah.
it sound negative towards myself. Let's bring it into our pop picks now from
I
last
was
week.
just about to
Let's
segue into that,
go.
dude. We got the
I have
pop
my
picks
pop
now.
picks.
Someone
I have my
on
pop
Twitter,
picks.
I'm going to
Well,
throw this out
we
to
have
the
last
chat real
week's
quick.
first.
Okay.
I got to throw this out to the chat real quick. Someone on Twitter said, "Why the hell am I not calling this? How can you not call the segment Pop, Lock, and Drop It? Your pop-off player, your solid player, and your biggest letdown. Pop, Lock, and Drop It. Chat, do we like that name or do we like the pop-off player of the week?" So I'm going to kind of throw that out to you guys. Ben, if you know how to make a post or a poll thing.
Oh,
Go ahead and
I
make one
know.
of those.
I can do that right now.
I
There
do
you
like
go.
this idea. That's something we could talk about. We can't decide anything until we're back on with Matt, though.
Exactly.
It'd be,
Anyways, right
pop
now it's
picks
called the
being his.
pop-off players or pop players, whatever we want to call it. Evan, shoot.
Yep. All right. Well, let's cover last week's first. So in last place for the second week in a row, we got Mr. Ben Kenny
No.
with negative 30 points. Ben, you picked Gavin Rathbun and Lisa Fakis. They both are negative points.
Oh.
Gavin Rathburn's average finish on the year was 46th. He finished 76th, negative 30 points. Lisa Fakis averaged 16 and a half about. She finished 17th. So you lost less than a point, but still lost points. In
That's
third
tough.
place,
That's tough.
we have the winner from last week, Matt Graham. He's not here to defend himself and why those picks should have been great. They weren't good enough. Negative 22 points. He picked Holly Finley and Brody Smith. Holly Finley averaging 18 and a half on the season, finished 20th. So about a point and a half lost. Brody Smith, otherwise, 39th average finish, and he finished 60. So that's negative 21 points, 20 and change. For a total of negative 22 points. He's still positive overall thanks to the 46 points last week. I will be keeping track of this year to year. Just didn't add it up yet with only 2 events. And we'll skip number 2 to talk about the winner first. I mean, I'm going to be honest. It was pretty obvious. It's me. I was the only person who was positive this week. And I scored 61.6 points. It wasn't even close. Nick, you came in second. You got negative 2 points. So
Okay, that's
about-
not terrible.
yeah, about middle. You're
In the
positive
group
on the
chat, you
season
said it was
overall.
I'll
close.
take that.
Yeah, that was a joke, Ben, because it was a blowout. It wasn't even close.
So
Yeah,
I had
it
to
was
wait
an
this
absolute
long for the
blowout.
punchline.
Yeah, you did. I picked what is this? Jeremy Koling and Madison Walker both made huge splashes in their
Popped
finish,
off.
and both for the respective divisions that we picked had the worst average finish coming into this event. So Madison Walker average finish at 25th. She was leading after round 1, ultimately finished 4th. This doesn't account ties either. It's just what place you finished. So I'm not getting into all that, but tie for 4th means 4th. And Jeremy Koling averaging 50th on the season. He finished 10th here. That's 40 points from him, 21 from Madison Walker, giving me 61 in total. That gives me almost 100 on the season, the most by a lot to want to rub that in.
I know I'm winning this next one, guaranteed, because I have the best pop pick ever.
Going to Nick to at least cover his picks. He picked Zach Allinghouse and Macy Villa Diaz. Both did about average. Villa Diaz was 10.75 average on the season, finished 12th. only a few negative points or 1.5 ish. And then Zach and House averaging 43rd, finished 44th. Lost less than a point there when you consider the average.
Just my
and
freaking
change.
luck.
So, yeah, I'll take the win there. I got win. Matt's got a win. I got the most points overall. But let's talk about picks for this week. Should we start with pop picks?
Yeah.
We'll start with pop picks.
Can I go?
Yeah, we'll start with
Okay.
pop picks.
Can I
We're
go?
on the
That's the most
subject right
fun
now.
one.
We'll start with
I just
pop
want
picks.
to get mine on the table
Yeah.
right now. I want to get
Go
mine
for
on
it.
the table.
All
right.
you.
I have mine set, so if they're the same as yours, they are the same as yours.
Okay, I have mine set too. Right here, right
Yep.
now. We are going to go with I'll start with FPO. We are going to go with Maria Oliva. I think she's gonna pop off here. She just gotta throw far and make putts like everyone else. But yeah, I think she has a low enough average where if she does well, I can get some points. In my MPO pick, I think is the greatest pick of all time. I'm going with Manabu Kajiyama. Because he hasn't played a pro tour and wherever he finishes is better than not playing a pro tour.
I was almost pre-show gonna say no one can pick him.
Yeah,
'cause he doesn't
no,
have an
that
average
doesn't make
finish.
sense though because he doesn't have an average right now. So this event creates his average.
Yeah, but it's at 0. Okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But I'm sticking with it. No, I'm kidding. All right, I'll go for real. Pop pick. I'll go Raven Newsom. There you go. That's my actual pop pick.
There you go.
But just know it's actually Manabu Kajiyama.
That doesn't work. All right. My pop pick on the FPO side of things, Rebecca Cox.
Oh, I was going to pick her too. Good job.
I think this is her event to pop off a little bit. And then on the MPO side of things, a little bit tougher. It's a Discraft event. My boy, Andrew Fish, is going to pop off at this event.
All right.
Yeah.
Evan. First of all, we gotta get Matt's picks. Is he still in the chat?
We do. We will get
Otherwise,
Matt's picks. I
we
haven't
gotta
seen him
lock
in the
him
chat
in.
for a while.
We gotta lock him in pre-event.
I'm going to write mine down.
I am gonna go JK Juliana Korver for FPO. Her average isn't as good as she probably would like, but she's had some good finishes. She's really popped off this year, and the music's for me. Nice. In MPO, I'm gonna go Mr. Chanimal, Chandler Fry, another Discraft player. Excuse me.
Funny
He's
enough, I almost
also-
said him, and then I saw Fish's name, and I was like, kind of feeling Fish a little bit more, but I
Yeah.
almost said Chandler.
Well, let's go Fish Fry.
Fish Fry.
Nice little combo there.
And Juliana.
All right. Then let's
I'll
go.
let you guys, I'm writing these down, so I'll let you guys start off with
Regular
legitimate
picks?
Nice.
Yeah.
Regular picks. Ben goes Manabu Kajiyama. Highest rated player at this tournament, 1056.
Dude,
5 points better than Calvin.
Imagine he wins.
So he's going to win by like a stroke and a half over Calvin.
Imagine he wins. Just imagine. Just close your eyes and imagine that Manabu Kajiyama winning. That would be the greatest day of my life. And I've been born.
Goodness.
All right, go ahead, Evan.
I'm going to be honest. I didn't think about these picks before at all.
All right, I guess I'll go.
I did get pop picks set, so I got to.
I'll go then. I have mine set in stone. I'm going to go with the Simon Lizotte. I think it's his time to actually pop off. He's been playing decent. He finished well at Idlewild. I think, he can take this down. He throws far enough. It's just about, getting the putter going, which I think he has been pretty hot as of late. And for FPO, I'm going to go with someone who I've been picking for a while, who have been wanting to win for a while, and that is Ella Hansen. I think her power, this is a powerful course. I think her power is going to take her far. It's just about, for her, keeping it in the fairway and just playing clean golf, some Sexton golf, and I think she takes the W.
All right. I'm all set. If you want me to go next,
Go
Nick.
ahead.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
All right. I'll start with MPO. Interesting trend at D-Glow. The wins come in twos as a Disc Golf Pro Tour event. We had Paul McBeth win 2 in a row. Eagle McMahon win 2 in a row. We saw Calvin Heimberg win last year, and we're on the 6th year. So the trend says 2 in a row for Calvin Heimberg. So it's kind of hard to argue with that. And with as easy as it is to pick Calvin Heimberg as like a perfect lock, if this is pop, lock, and drop, like Calvin Heimberg's my lock. So that's an easy pick right there. Let me go him, but I'm excited for this. I think there's so many people who could win. I was toying with an Anthony Brilla, but can't. Calvin Heimberg it is. FPO. This is a person who likes to win in twos. She won both in Oregon last year back-to-back. I'm picking both in the Midwest back-to-back. Val Mandujano. She finished pretty solid last year. Looked it up. What was it? She was 4 off the win from Natalie Ryan. Natalie Ryan, who's playing this event this year. 4 off the win, but we know it was close. She was in a close battle with a lot of the other top finishers. And looking pretty good after that Idlewild win. I was close to picking Owen Scoggins, but she's my lock for the podium. So if that is our thing, I'm getting ahead of myself. I can't do pop, lock, and drop picks. But
Owen Scoggins with a sneaky second place finish last year too.
Yeah, and sneaky second place this past week, right?
Yeah. Oh, dude, I know. And I know that. Well, she was my pick to win it. Yeah, she lost by 6. But anyways, all right. MPO side, dude, I want to pick AB so freaking bad because I just want AB to win so freaking bad. But I'm kind of I'm torn between AB, Kyle Klein, and Eagle McMahon right now. I think Eagle comes back and shows a little bit of dominance at an event that he has shown dominance at. So I'm going to go with Eagle McMahon on the MPO side of things winning this event. And then on the women's side, Missy Gannon.
Ooh.
Missy Gannon takes a week off of not winning, comes back and gets another big money win. Big money Missy at the big money events. It's a playoff event. Fat amount of data cash into it. Missy Gannon all day.
Let's go. Yeah, and to at least cover it, playoff events, they won't feel too much different for a fan. It is 4 rounds though, so even though it's one course of D-Glow,
which
4
is pretty
rounds,
sweet. Yeah.
The points are probably the biggest thing. We are done with elite drops. Doesn't matter what your past elite events were. You pick your top 8 most points. That is done for the season. We won't see that again. We will see some silver drops potentially, but playoffs, it's 150 points to the winner, and you get all of that. No drops, even majors you could drop from the first 3, not the final one for both divisions. So these points matter a lot. You'll see some players move up a ton. That cut line for the Tour Championships can be awfully interesting. And I said this before the show that I was going to shout it out. So this is the time. I did want to say, if you want to check out what that cut line is for the Tour Championship, you can view the Disc Golf Pro Tour standings on statmando.com. We will highlight if a player is currently in a position or automatically qualified. It is interesting because we had Parker Welk on today. We had Valerie Mandujano on today. Both of them are outside the positions to get into the Tour Championship, but because they won elite events, they're automatically in. So Parker, I believe he's in 56th, which is way down the board. So you might miss him if you're just looking at the standings normally. But he is in bold on statmando.com, and we only cover the other 31 players otherwise. So it makes it a little obvious. Same with Val Mandujano, who's sitting, I think, in the 30s. So check it out there. Will be exciting out in Michigan.
Hell yeah. Well, it's 9:15, guys, 9:12. But that brings us to the end of the show. We are going to get all these picks locked in, and Evan is going to be the stat guy and figure it out by the end of the weekend. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. This was an awesome show. We wish Matt the best of, having fun, out camping, glamping, whatever you want to call it. Once again, thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Gives you a chance to be entered into our 10K giveaway, VIP passes to the MVP Open. Comment, like, subscribe, do all those good things. Check us out on all your favorite podcast platforms. Leave us an awesome review. We appreciate every single one of you. I love you guys. Tell someone you love them this week. Keep Hawaii in your thoughts. We'll catch you in the next one.
Nick, you're awesome. Ben, you're awesome. Evan, you're awesome. Matt, you're also awesome.
You're awesome.
Shout out everyone. Thanks for tuning in as usual.
All the love to Hawaii.
All the love to Hawaii. All the love to Big Jerm, Val. Thanks for joining. See you later.
The The Nick and Matt Show, a disc golf podcast designed for you, the disc golfer. Find The Nick and Matt Show on your favorite podcast platforms or join the conversation live on YouTube.